tech enthusiast from the globe. Welcome to .NET Conference Philippines 2023. I'm Rizwan Ansari, your host, one of your hosts, and I'm really excited for this .NET Conference journey. With this, we have like line of great expert speakers who are even most of them are Microsoft MVPs, and they have a kind of huge experience in the industries with real world applications. So I'm excited with the sessions. Let's start. First, I would like to call Satya to give a short intro about our agenda and also a bit of .NET.
Okay, thank you, Rishwan. First, let me share my screen.
All right. Yeah, so I have bring also in your screen. So your screen as well as you are on the live. Go on.
Okay, thank you. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the .NET Conference Manila 2023, the most anticipated .NET Conference 2023, where we unveil the next chapter in the evolution of the .NET platform with the groundbreaking release of the .NET 8. Additionally, in this session, you will learn so many new things and enhancement in the .NET development. So this is Satya Karki, one of the organizer of this event. I will shortly introduce what is .NET and the new features and enhancement in the .NET 8. .NET has gone through several evolution and improvement. Earlier it was proprietary and mostly the software developed in the .NET framework used to run primarily on Microsoft Windows machines only. Later on, it's dominated by the cross-platform .NET projects. .NET is a free cross-platform open source developer platform for developing several types of the applications such as desktop, mobile, web application, games, IoT, and so on. In .NET, you can use different languages, editors, libraries to build the web, mobile, desktop applications, games, IoT, and many more other applications. Microsoft has provided Visual Studio for the .NET developers. The latest version of the Visual Studio is 2022 17.8 version. And furthermore, you can get the Visual Studio community version in a free and you can use it for your the learning education purpose as well as you can use it for the development of the applications for small businesses. For large businesses and the enterprise use, it has other versions. For example, the Visual Studio Professional for the professional use and Visual Studio Enterprise for the enterprise use. Additionally, Visual Studio Code also can be used to develop the .NET applications, and it is a free and lightweight software development platform. Microsoft has released and introduced the .NET 8 on November 14th, 2023 with the release of the Visual Studio 2022 17.8 version. .NET 8 is the latest long-term support, LTS support version of the .NET up to now. And .NET 8 brings numerous enhancements in performance, stability, and security. Additionally, it incorporates the improvements in the platforms and the tools, fostering increased developer productivity and innovation velocity. .NET 8 released with a language C# 12, ASP.NET Core 8, and the Entity Framework Core 8. C# 12 introduces the primary constructor for any class or the structure struct, simplifying the initialization without boilerplate core. And the lambda expressions now supports the default values for parameters, reducing the need for overloading or null checks. The using directives can alias any type, enhancing the code expressiveness. ASP.NET Core 8 brings up to the 18% performance improvement compared to the .NET 7 in the .NET 8. Native ahead of the time, AOT supports the reduced deployment size, quickens the startup of the applications, and lower the memory usage in the applications. And in Entity Framework Core 8, it supports the complex types of the value objects and introduces the lazy loading for node tracking queries. In the performance side also, it has a huge improvement. Performance enhancement include the dynamic profile guided optimization PGO for up to the 27% better application performance than the previous version. .NET Aspire is another cool feature added in the .NET 8. .NET Aspire is a cloud-native stack for resilient, observable, and configurable cloud-native application development. Additionally, we can integrate the OpenAI, and there is a huge changes for the AI developers in the .NET 8 applications. .NET 8 makes the ease of use of the AI via the first class out-of-the-box AI feature in its SDK. AI feature improvements to the system the numeric for the generative AI, and integrations with the Azure OpenAI and the Azure Cognitive Search SDKs are included by default in the .NET framework. So it's easy to develop the AI applications for the .NET developers in the .NET platform. Furthermore, there is enhancement in the Blazor. Blazor enhancement enables both client-side Blazor WebAssembly and the Blazor server-side Blazor server rendering in the same one applications. Earlier it was separated. Now we can develop the Blazor WebAssembly and the server side in the same applications, and that's we call the Blazor hybrid model also in this .NET Add. Another improvement is in the .NET MAUI. .NET MAUI multi-platform application development is a successor to the Xamarin Forms, which enables the creation of the projects for different platforms such as the Windows machine, Mac, iOS, Android with a single code base. .NET MAUI supports cross-platform projects, and .NET has introduced Visual Studio Code extensions for the .NET MAUI development. Additionally, you can get the elevated performance, reliability, and the developer experience for .NET MAUI applications. .NET 8 has several other enhancements and the improvement for the .NET developers. And in today's sessions, you will learn so many things about those with our valuable speakers. So this is the agenda of our today's event. So we are in the new features and the enhancement and introduction to the .NET phase at the moment, and we are near to start the next sessions. The first sessions will be on the microservices using the .NET 8 and the DAPR service to service communications by Mr. Viswanatha Swamy. He is a Microsoft MVP. And the another sessions will be on the developing Android .NET MAUI applications on Linux by Beltran. He is also Microsoft MVP. And the next sessions will be on build concise .NET 8 chatbot with Azure OpenAI, leveraging your data for seamless integration by Mr. Saravanan Ganesan. He is also Microsoft MVP. And other sessions will be on the Blazor in the .NET 8, how we can develop the Blazor applications in a .NET 8 will be there by the Emiliano Montesdeoca. He is also Microsoft MVP and cloud specialist. And the second last sessions will be on introduction to the machine learning using the ML.NET by Mr. David Patrick. He is a Microsoft MVP. And the last sessions will be on building the safe AI experiences with Azure AI Content Safety by Lee G. Thomas. She is a manager in the data and the AI and also Microsoft MVP. So that's all for this introduction and its enhancement of the .NET and the .NET introduction part, as well as the agenda of this today's session. We are about to start our very first session, so I would like to conclude my presentation here, and over to you, Rizwan. Thank you.
Thank you, Satya. So, our first speaker, I don't think he need an introduction. Viswanath Swamy. He has been seen a lot in the community of .NET. So, I'll just make him on the screen, and Satya, I'll remove you from the screen for now. Now he's already here. Now his first session is microservices using .NET 8 and DAPR, which is one of the most exciting topic. And we know microservices has been leading these industries for now, and it has solved a lot of problem when it comes to complex application or large model application. With that, he will be also introducing service to service communication with the DAPR. So over to you, Mr. Swamy. You are muted, sir. Let me unmute you.
Am I audible now?
Now, yes, perfect.
Hey, thank you. Hey guys, greetings. Thanks so much for joining. This is Swamy. That's my introduction. And I'm a learner, lifelong learner. So I apologize if I do any mistake. And the next thing is you've already boarded an express train. So please fasten your seatbelt. There are a lot of things we'll be doing today. I'll quickly walk you through this. What is that we're going to do? This is a big picture. Okay, first I'll go through this big picture. Our focus is purely on service to service invocation, whether it's microservices or the distributed application. We'll see what is DAPR from a 30,000-foot view, and then we'll go through what all the components it supports and everything. We'll look at it, and then we will see how two different services we have and in how many ways we can communicate with these two services. We'll look at it. One is full-blown API and another one is minimal API. And then we'll see the DAPR dashboard, which shows the services as well as the applications which it is running. And then what is service to service invocation? How DAPR is supporting us in the service to service invocation, and the name resolution. What is this name resolution? And then we'll see the resiliency, which is very important piece in any application. Maybe it is a monolith and it speaks to the other service, or when it is microservices or distributed applications, you need to speak to other service to get some of the data. So the timeout is very important, and the retries and the circuit breaker pattern, which we will look at it. And then we will see some of the ways how we can hit those services. OK, so that's about it. So the first topic of this day, I just given a big picture. What is the thing which we are going to do in next 30 minutes or so. So I'm switching on my timer so that it will buzz it the moment we have it. I bought a lot of URLs and I have added it here. So let's look at it right from the official documentation instead of I copy pasting it and changing it. It's a portable event driven runtime, which makes resilient, stateless, stateful, everything it provides. We'll see one picture and then we can go. I've given all the URLs here. At different sections I've given it. So all the tabs which I've opened it, I embedded those URLs in the documentation. And I'll give you the URLs. This is my main GitHub repo, where you'll see what is that I'm doing all the time. And this is the speaker series. As I'm a community speaker, I'll speak at different events. So all my events documentation or a demo script will be here. And this is Tech Skills Academy. This is something which I've given a name. And inside that, today's session is DAPR. So you will find the entire source code will be in that. So I've given that links. So let's come back to our topic. So see this DAPR, what it provides is it provides multiple languages like Go, Node, Python, .NET, Java, C++, lot of development SDKs it has, and also it provides the components. So it provides all these services which are pretty common to distributed or microservices, service to service communication, like state management, publish, subscribe, binding, actors and secrets. A lot of other things are there, but our goal for today is we'll stick to service communication. Like we have observability, security, and resiliency, everything baked in. So it supports multiple languages. It supports a bunch of components, and then it can be hosted on-premise or on different cloud providers. Okay, so the Microsoft started this, and now it open sourced it. That's the introduction. So these are the building blocks. So today's our goal is to stick to the game plan is service to service invocation. Okay, resiliency is part of that when you talk to service to service invocation. Like, and also it has got the retries and timeouts and the circuit breaker pattern. So that's about the introduction of what is this DAPR from a 30,000 foot. It's a cloud native computing foundation CNCF incubated project. It started with Microsoft started it. Now it open sourced it. And that's what the 30,000 foot introduction of what is DAPR. Now let's see two microservices which I have created. Now, if you really go to the terms of microservices, there are 10 to 12 bulleted points to call something a microservice. It has to pass through all these checklists. Similarly, cloud native application, it has to pass through some checklist. So even though I'm using the high sounding words, technically this will be a microservice or a cloud native application. Okay, so I'm not going through all the checklists saying that, hey, to qualify this as a microservice, it has to go through all this checklist. Okay, but the end goal is imagine this application, a piece of this code is being deployed as a microservice or an application inside a distributed, a piece inside a distributed application. So first we will see a couple of things, the solution which is here. And everything, whatever I'm showing on the screen, everything is there in the URL. You guys go grab it and you can start playing it. Okay, so the first thing we'll see application core, where we have set of URLs. I'll do a cleanup, but at least I'm using this one. So this is one of the ways suggested by industry expert Steve Smith. Gave like all the strings can go into the application core, where you can have a partial class on the constants and save it there. So as of now, I mean, this I'm going to evolve it over the months, but this is a starting point. So we have a couple of entity classes as of now, items, order and order item. These are the three things which are available, which is there in the data project. And now let's come and see the first microservice is the orders microservice. And you can see that this is the .http file, which we will use it to hit the application, which is you can hit it directly or you can go through the DAPR. We'll see that what DAPR, how it enables, we'll see that. And from the program perspective, you will see only 4 to 5 lines. So everything is moved into the extension classes. So anything you want to load into the dependency injection container, the service collection, we will do it in this extension method, and configuring the HTTP pipeline, we'll do it in this one. So our program class is neat and clean with 5 to 6 lines, nothing more than that. And also you can see the controller has got a single method. It is API controller. The name is orders. And you can see the HTTP post, we're calling it as order, like orders/order, a submit order. We are submitting the order. And you can see some of the things as a good citizens. We are marking it like this. It expects from the body and this expects from the services. Services in the sense service injection. So we are injecting it as part of the services here. You're adding this to the part of the dependency injection service container. And here we are receiving it as a dependency injection. And the new thing is we are using the primary constructor. You don't see the parameterized constructor or parameterless constructor. We are using the primary constructor. So a mix of new latest features, we have it. And that's it. Let's see this first service. How do we go and hit it? So we can do multiple ways. First thing is we'll see, I'll come here, debug, start a new instance. And it starts. Takes a minute or so. So you can see that it is running in Kestrel. You'll see an extra window over here. So you see that it has come in here. And we can come in and try this out right from here. OK. Or I can try it from the Postman with this endpoint 5001, because that's what it is running on. You can see this, it's running on 5001. Or I can pretty well come back to this HTTP file and click on send request. That goes and hits it. But right now, you know, it is hooked up to the DAPR sidecar. So it will fail because I'm not executing it as part of the DAPR. So it will definitely fail. It's an expected behavior. So what I'll do is I'll kill this instance. Let's quickly walk through another piece. And now you can see that the advantage of moving the logic to centralized or the libraries, we are using the same libraries in both these projects. So you're using this core and data here, and you're using the core and data here. So you don't need to repeat yourself in multiple places. So technically these will go as part of the libraries, but as of now, I included here. So another thing we'll see here is we have full flexibility when it comes to minimal API. So this is a minimal API. So it's not always mandatory that you need to write everything here. Now, if you see whether it is a minimal API or whether it is a full-blown web API, the program.cs is only 2-3 lines, max of 5 lines, excluding the using statement. You see that it's just 5 lines. Both are the same. How is that magic happening? It's one of the ways to the service container, whatever we are loading everything into the service container, we move it to the extension method. So here we are adding the logger factory. So one simple difference you need to note is here the logger factory, we need to inject it. So that way our endpoints will get the logger factory. So DAPR, we are loading it as part of the application service over here in this line, the same as what we did it in the API. So we load it there. So that comes out of the box. But the logger is some special piece which we need to take care a little bit. So now I'll close all these things. If you see, there is no restriction of how do you create the minimal API, whether it is the normal API or full-blown controller API or a minimal API. You have full flexibility, you have full free hand. Like if you see that we have moved all this logic to the extension methods. We have layered architecture. We are using layered architecture in full-blown API. We have layered architecture in minimal API. And we are using controllers folder in full-blown API. Here we are using endpoints. You have full free hand. You can do anything and everything. OK, maybe the clean architecture, layered architecture, all-in-one hexagonal architecture. Like sky is the limit. So no one is restricting you that you need to write it everything in the program.cs. So see this, the routes or we can map to different routes. We can give a tag and with name. So each of this name should be unique. So that's how it identifies the endpoint. Let's see that how it looks in Swagger. Now what is happening is we have two services, orders and item reservation service. Now order service depends on item reservation service. Order service has taken set of items as part of the order and asking the item reservation service to reserve this particular item for this customer. Now, item reservation doesn't have any dependency. Right now, I didn't hook to the database, so we'll not get hit with any roadblock. It gives a proper response. OK, so I can always come back and hit the endpoints. We can see that. So this is coming from the endpoints. I don't want to. I didn't do the last moment changes because how we represent /API in the full-blown controller. I have a convention that I use EP or ePoint or endpoint to specify that, hey, this is a minimal API. So I don't want to do the last moment changes. I forgot to do that last night. So let me stick to the game plan. But before checking in the code, I will make the modifications and do it like see how it is /API/controller. Similarly, in my previous demos, I used to do that EP or endpoint or ePoint and the endpoint name. OK, so those are the two services we will be playing it. And I covered quite a few things which are not like a best practices, what I follow and the latest things which are available. I have given that. And let me quickly show you these things that it's .NET 8. OK, and now let's go to the next section. So we had a 30,000 foot introduction of what is DAPR, and inside the DAPR, what is our focus. OK, and before that, we will spend 1 minute of time. So to install the Docker, what is that we'll have to do it. We need to install that. You can come in here. You can use the PowerShell or Winget. That's a package manager for Windows 11. You have it. And I think Windows 10 also supports, but I see Windows 11 has got this Winget, like how you do sudo apt-get and npm. It's like there's a package managing stuff. And we have the MSI. You can click on this release. You will see a bunch of releases. 13 is the one which is current release, but at least the stable one is .12. So I have .12 on my box. So then we can verify, and then we can initialize this DAPR in two different modes. So one is the always you need to have the evaluated terminal. So one you can do DAPR init. This is running locally, and that's called the sidecar pattern. We will look at the sidecar pattern in a minute. And what you can do is you can have you can initialize this either as a local mode or in the Kubernetes mode. So as of now, I'm running in the local mode. So I can come back over here and I can say DAPR. You can see it has got everything, and DAPR version. If I see DAPR version, you can see the CLI version is this, and here the runtime version. So you need to have Docker running, or you can, because if it is local, you need Docker. And if you're deploying it to Kubernetes, you need to have Kubernetes. So at this point of time, some of the things which comes out of the box is this placement, Zipkin, and Redis. So without going deep into the weeds, let's stick to the game plan. I just wanted to show you what is that it takes to install. OK, we have seen the installation piece, and we will come back to service to service invocation. So we'll come and learn about that. Hey, Rizwan or Satya, did something change on my box? I don't know. I just clicked on that button.
So far,
everything
all
is good.
okay.
All is well. OK, thanks so much. So how does this communication happens between the service to service? So if you see, there are multiple ways we can have service communication, or technically, let's stick to the word called invocation. Like in our application, service A calls service B. You can call using HTTP, or you can call through the gRPC, which is a bit faster than HTTP, or you can have a remote procedure call. There are multiple ways. So you can have synchronous calls or you can have asynchronous calls. So synchronous call is you make a direct call request response. You hit that service, it gives you a response, done and dusted. So asynchronous call is you drop a message to the service enterprise service bus ESB, or let's call it in a simple term service bus. Service A drops a message, service B picks up that message, it does the processing and put the response back in a message, and A reads it. Now you have a kitchen knife and a chainsaw. You need to cut a tomato. Which one do you use? You can use chainsaw or you can use a kitchen knife, but you need to decide what is the right tool for this job. So if at all there is a financial impact, I would say that you need to use asynchronous communication, where the completion of this transaction or the completion of processing of that message is very, very important. So you need to use this asynchronous one. So if at all you go and get a data from the table and spit it on the screen, you don't need to use that service to service communication using the messaging protocols, because that's like a kitchen saw. You're getting to cut a tomato, you might cut your fingers or you might break the kitchen platform itself. So use the right tool. Okay, so those are the things. Now let's come to this service to service invocation. Now DAPR facilitates this service to communication. You can see that we can it provides that when you execute any of these services using the DAPR. So that means what happens is a service gets executed and the DAPR executes as part of the separate process in the local, like a service A and its corresponding sidecar DAPR, service B and its corresponding sidecar DAPR. So every time you run a service, you have a sidecar DAPR running paired with that particular service. So that enables it. Now I've given all the URLs, guys. Let's see that visually, how the service discovery, how it happens. We'll see that. So you can see that a service A and its both of them get married, a service and a DAPR sidecar, a service and a DAPR sidecar, both get married, like two couples. They are there. Now, if a service A wants to talk to service B, service A hits the DAPR sidecar. The sidecar goes and speaks to the name resolution, and it says that, hey, I know this, it exists here. It gives this name resolution, and then it goes and talks to the sidecar. It doesn't go and talks directly to the service B. It talks to the spouse of the service B, the DAPR sidecar, and then DAPR sidecar will go and hit the service. So that's the communication. Service A hits the sidecar, its own sidecar. Okay, they both got married, service A and the DAPR sidecar. So service A speaks to the DAPR sidecar, and DAPR sidecar goes speaks to the DAPR sidecar of the service B, and then it goes in between. The name resolution gets resolved. So here you can see that name resolution, which identifies by the local name. So let's see that how to run a service using the DAPR. I've given all the commands, folks, so please get ready for that. So here is the command. We are running the first service. I'm here, and let me come back to this one. Let me execute this command. So you can see that there'll be a bunch of these things. It will flush it out, all these logs. And you can see it does a building and binding. Everything is done. Here it gave that the direct port is 5000 and the DAPR port is 5010 that we have specified it. We'll see that. I just want to quickly, we have 9 minutes more, so I'll just quickly go through direct hits to that. And I'm executing the second service, the items reservation service, that I'll execute it in this tab. We'll see that that is also executing. Now visualize. Let's come back and visualize these two things over here. Now this is order service. It has got its own sidecar DAPR, Now this is items reservation service. It has got its own DAPR sidecar. Okay, now I can come back to the endpoint which I have given here. We can communicate two ways, but the suggested way is through the DAPR. Why? Because at this point of time, if I'm hitting this, it will go and to the speak to that service B, the items reservation service. But what if its IP has changed? So then it will be very hard if you do the direct these kind of communication. Now, if you go through the DAPR, what is happening is the DAPR sidecar and the name resolution, all three guys are in the game who knows that how to go speak to that. So it recognizes with the local name. So if I come back over here and we'll see the DAPR dashboard, DAPR dashboard, and we can come back and do DAPR list. I do the DAPR list. So it recognizes with these local names. So this is the DAPR dashboard. I'll quickly come back to this one and I will be here. You can see that in 2 minutes. How does it recognize? You can click on that. You see this app ID or the name. So that's the name it recognizes. Right now, we don't have any stateful actors. And I can come back over here and then item reservation service it recognizes. And these are some of the components it has got. And this is the configuration, which is there. Let's come back and see how do we hit it directly. But don't do it. Always go through the DAPR sidecar. Now the sidecar is also running. Even if I do previously, it failed because the DAPR was not running. So we will see this. I'll come back over here. And first thing is I'm hitting the order service. That's the direct. You see that port 5000. That means I'm doing a direct hit. You can see that it has given the ID. Let's see the logs over here. So it made the call and then it would have called this one also. So it has received the item reservation for cookie 1 and it did that. Now let's go through the DAPR. So that means we are calling the port 5010. So that means we are going and hitting the DAPR directly. So when you go and hit the DAPR, see how the logs are a little different from that. So see here, what is happening is when in the previous hit, when we hit that, it came and went through this. But now if you see that the logs are a little different because now the DAPR has come into the picture. OK, here also it was there, but the endpoint what you were hitting was a little different. So you are hitting the 5001, that is the local or the direct hit. Now we are going through the DAPR. So you don't see that port number here. You can see this, the first hit, whatever we made, you see the port. That means you are going through directly. You're not going through the DAPR. Now here you're going directly through the DAPR. So you don't see these logs 5001 anywhere here because everything is taken care by the DAPR. So it comes and it hits it, and you can see that this will be same whether you hit it directly or whether you hit it through, until unless you are communicating from this item reservation to the payment gateway or the factory or to the inventory you're talking. So it will be a little different in that case. Now, another thing which I would like to highlight over here is let me come back to this one. We'll see the timeouts and the resiliency, and we'll speak about that in a minute. Before that, timeout, that's over here. But let me quickly walk you guys through the Zipkin, the logger. See that? Come on, come on. Let me show you one more thing. From here, I'm hitting to the direct one, and this one I'm hitting through the through this DAPR. That's one difference. And now let's speak about the timeouts. I'll try whether did I do anything wrong? I don't know. Let me check that. Let me come back to that one. So now there are couple of things we need to consider when we are hitting from service A to service B. So imagine for some reason service B is down, maybe a temporary network blip or a permanent issue. So service A default timeout is API to API is 30 seconds. So do we need to wait for 30 seconds? And imagine there are 100 calls hitting service A and service B is down. Each of those calls waiting for 30 seconds. It might bring down the service A also. Right now the service B is down, it might bring down. So timeouts is very important, which we need to consider. And the second thing is retries. The retry is when you're trying to do a resilient one, a transient failure is there. So that means we can retry. What if it is 401? So no matter whatever you do, try it how many times, it will not go through. Or unauthorized one. So these things doesn't make sense. Only the transient faults, there's a temporary blip, those kind of things we can do a retry. How many times do we need to retry? 3 times, 5 times, 10 times? That depends upon what is the SLA between for the solution. OK. And another thing is after making 3 to 4 tries, there might be some of the DBA is restarting the database. It might take 10 minutes to come up. So don't allow any more traffic. You know that it failed for 5 times. What is the point of again going and hitting when the server itself is down or someone is bringing that server restarting the IaaS or something of that kind is happening. So that's the one. This one is the circuit breaker pattern. OK, so imagine a scenario when you have everything is good and something gone wrong. In that case, it will open. That means it will not allow anything more than that. So then what happens is after 30 seconds of wait time or 60 seconds, whatever we configure, it makes half open, like it allows one of the requests to come in. So if at all that goes well, then it will close the circuit. Let's see that in action now. So I'll come down and I will kill this, the service B. Now what is happening is we are replicating 3 things here. We are replicating the timeout, we are replicating the retries, and we are replicating the circuit breaker pattern. So cross the fingers. We are going through the DAPR. I just clicked on it. Let's come back and watch the logs over here. So this is already killed. Now you see that it says that we are retrying. So the first hit, and then it's hitting for the second time, it's retrying, and then it did the third retry and it said that no, I can't do any more of these. And then it said half open. So now it's half open. Now let's compare with this. So it's failure and it is open. And after 30 seconds of timer, it makes it half open. So from half open, it said that, hey, I can't go through. It made the try and it said that close to open. So it was closed and it is open. At this point of time, you can see that if I make another call, it clearly says that, hey, I can't process because the circuit breaker pattern, its circuit breaker has switched it on. Right now it is open. See that circuit breaker is open. So now if you wait for 30 seconds, let's see that it didn't go through because it found it's retrying, it's making the retry. What we can do is we can come and execute it. So now this service has come back. Now I will come and make this. Let's observe that. So half open to closed. So that means it made a call and the call went through, success. So then you can see that it was half open, and from half open, it closed it. I think the timer is on. So my 30 minutes is over and we saw that.
But if you have anything more to present, you can some extra time. That's fine. So
Okay.
because it is because it even interests me also. So I'm sure like
Okay,
our
sure.
audience might be interesting with this.
Sure, sure.
And also
So
I
it,
saw there are some questions also for you, so you can complete and later we can
yeah,
discuss the
yeah,
questions.
sure, sure. So now what it made is it made these things. So these are pretty important because from our perspective, we see that um, we have tools, but we need to choose when to use it. Okay, so timeouts. So we have a lot of libraries which definitely supports. Someone can ask, what is that DAPR bringing in? So can't we do it programmatically? Yes, we can definitely do it. But did I do it any of those things here? That's the first question. No, I didn't write anything, whether anything, poly or something else. What is that? I did it. I just picked up the um, policy from this one here. If you see that, I just picked up this resiliency policy. So the resiliency comes with three things. The resiliency, at least here, we have timeouts, we have retries, we have circuit breaker. So timeouts is what you should decide what should be the timeout. So in 2010, around that time, 8 seconds when you make an API call from UI, when you make an API call, the internationally accepted was 8 seconds. Now, is it acceptable in 2024? No, we don't have time for 4 seconds. 8 seconds is too much. So you need to decide that when service A calls service B, when you should say that it failed. Okay. And when the transaction happens asynchronously, in that case, most of the things is you drop a message, the other service picks it up and just acknowledges that, hey, I received the message. You don't need to wait until the entire transaction gets completed. Like service A calls service B and service B calls the third party payment gateway. It might take time. You see Amazon, you just sometimes you order it and the moment it takes 8 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever the time it is, it says that shows that payment would have failed. We are trying. Please come back and visit after 20 minutes. It does that. So those kind of things we need to do it like that. OK, and retries and back off. Retries is two ways we can do a retries. So service A calling service B every 5 seconds, it does a retry. 3 retries or 10 retries, whatever you and your team decides, we can do that. That's one way to handle it. The other way to handle is if at all there is imagine the container has blown and it is creating a new container and that has got some dependency. It's going to take 15 to 20 seconds time. So other way is to back off, exponential backup. So first thing is it makes the first try at 5 seconds. And for the before it makes the second retry, it might wait for 15 seconds. And for the third retry, it might wait for 30 seconds. So that's the good way to handle. I'm not telling the other way is bad, but for this kind of transient errors where the network itself is coming or one of the database has been rebooted. So in this kind of things, so by the time you do a single retry, single set, what single retry in the sense 3 retries or 5 retries, whatever is the retry you can do with the fixed amount or with the exponential backup. So exponential makes sense. Sometimes imagine a scenario, it's a Docker container which is running within 2 seconds, the container comes up. So in that case, 5 seconds and 5 seconds, the straight flat retry might work. Sometimes if it is a bigger restart or a couple of services are coming up, in that case, the exponential will be good thing. So we need to decide. I mean, it's not a one-stop solution. We need to see that what is that which works good. Now the circuit breaker pattern also, we have seen that when you have a circuit breaker pattern, when you know that the service B is not responding, it doesn't make sense to send more of those things. Calls and clog the network or bring down other services. So you can stop that. That's the thing. And I think I've given all the URLs. Let me come back here. So we can take queries.
All right. So first question is, what are the advantage of using common logic and core data? Core or data common. It is a microservice. Is it violating the microservice concept?
No. See this. Good question. Now, if you see that EF core is a library, and Microsoft has created this library, and at least 50% of the world who are working in .NET, they use this ORM. So the intention of the common library is that you create once and you use it many times. Now, if you see, most of the product-based companies, one of the architect or the previous architect, what they do is they will create a reusable libraries. Now, take the example of this Angular app. Now, in product-based companies, do you think that they will start with a blank solution and create forms and fields and other things? No, someone would have already written the framework, UI framework, and all you need to do is customize, and they'll say that their own company name dot text box and give the foreground color, the border color, how the functionality should work. So the intention of the libraries is it helps you create faster to the market. OK, the initial hit is that you need to create that and you need to work. The flip side of that is if 10 of the teams inside a company is using the common library, if there is an issue, you can fix that issue. All the 10 people can use it, but you'll have a little bit pressure until you fix that bug. And another thing is if you release different version. So team A can stick to the version 1, team B to E, they can use version 2, and team G and above, they can use version 3. So that's the other advantage is the same library, different functionalities, different teams can use different versions and they can upgrade it when they are free. So there are a lot of advantages. There are disadvantages also. Everything is like a double-edged sword. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Another question like where can we see the checklist for microservices and cloud native apps like to qualify it is microservice or cloud native apps? Do we have any checklist where we can verify?
Yes, we do have.
Okay.
There is something known as I'll give you this. This is one of the link. Copy the link address. I'm pasting it here. This is one, and another thing is. So we can see this one. What are microservices? Whether it is from Amazon or from Azure. Now, if you plainly go to microservices.io, in that microservices.io, in that you can see that it's like loosely coupled, independently deployable. So each should have its own CI/CD process, their architectures. A lot of things are there in that. You can see different architectural patterns. No, that's there. And for cloud native also there is again a different checklist. What I do is one is I'll give that list to you a little later.
Later we can share this. Yes.
Yeah, so that offline you can publish it.
Yeah, someone is interested with your course, so he's asking, do you have the full course where I can enroll or watch in YouTube?
Oh yeah. Generally, when I come and speak in another meetup group, I don't do marketing, but someone asked it, I'm doing it. This is the first time I'm an organizer of this meetup group, and I have my
just post in forum.
Yeah, this is my YouTube channel. So I will be, this is the playlist. I'm speaking on this microservices and Azure OpenAI, AWS, a lot of things I'll do it. So you guys can enroll to this meetup group, and this is the .NET Learners House. And I'll keep a watch on this folder. where every year I do 40 to 50 events. So this is my calendar for Jan, Feb, and March this year.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, and another one, two more questions are there.
Oh,
So
please
one
go ahead.
question is,
Mhm.
does DAPR impact the performance? So,
These kind of questions we have to do a tech feasibility study or a spike.
uh-huh.
Because it these kind of things we can't tell directly, like dapper impacts a performance, or it's a generic question. So we need to see that what is your P1 use case. You need to take the P1 use case and what options do you have. Like, do you want to use Aspire, or do you want to use your own microservices, set of services, and use Poly to create the exponential backup, retry, and circuit breaker pattern?
Mm,
You have to try that, and then you will come to know that whether writing your own code is working good, or whether using Dapper is working good. See this, there you will write the code. If you don't use Dapper, you configure it. So we have to try what is the use case, what is that you're trying to do. A lot of things will come into the picture. Yeah, just that you asked, I don't want to tell that Dapper is
yes.
good or your own
Yeah,
code is
I
good,
agree with you because even
isn't
I
it?
was doing one project with one of our clients. So she was insisting me like, okay, give me exact performance time. It's a very big. It depends upon network, server configuration, even same server,
Exactly.
same configuration. If you are using multiple times, the response are different, no? So we cannot,
Simple thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
we cannot.
simple thing is what I do, how I do. Yeah, you are exactly right. Until we do a feasibility study, there's a tech feasibility study, we
Mhm.
can't tell that whether it's good or not. Even after doing tech feasibility, we might hit with a roadblock.
Yes,
And the
yes.
second thing is we have to do the baselining. Baselining means don't take the bigger hardware or the bigger computing power. Take a small app service or a virtual machine and do a baseline testing on that. So what is business asking? Is it 50 concurrent requests per second or 100 concurrent per second? First do a baselining, and then on that lowest computing, you run the performance test and tell that given this computing power, the way we wrote the code, it supports X number of users. We need to have the baselining for everything. Once you have the baselining, then only we can tell that based on this, do we need a performance improvement, or this is what it supports. No matter what you do, some you have chosen a framework and the way you wrote the code, this is what it supports. Whether you take the biggest computing power GPU or whatever the CPU, it's
Hello, am I audible?
there is one.
Yeah, you are
Yes.
audible. I think Vishwanath Swamiji is muted.
That's fine. Maybe some technical.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
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 we
we
can
can hear.
hear you.
All right.
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, but I'm not able to see you guys. I think I'm in the
Uh,
attendee list. I think you need
can
to
can you hear me? Can you see
Yeah, I'm
us
able to
now?
hear you. I'm able to
And
hear you, but I'm in the attendee list.
attendee list, no, but I can see like you are already in the screen. Let me. Uh, anyway, that's fine because I can see you. You are already in the
Okay. Okay,
presenting
then cool.
session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Another one
anything,
question is that is also very difficult to answer. I can see. What is the ideal time we can put for timeout, retries, and breaker? No circuit breaker. So
oh, it's
this
a
is
generic
also.
one. Again, it's a generic one.
Yeah, it depends upon your requirement. You have to know like how much you want to put your benchmark, what is your range you are looking for your responses. So based on that, you can decide your timeout, retries, circuit breaker. That's the thing.
Yeah, you need to do a study and get the from business, like what is that you have to do it. So based on that, you need to do it. Uh, it's not one-stop solution. It's a double-edged sword.
True. True. So I think that's all. With that, now I think we can move to our another one. Actually, our another speaker, he's having some difficulties. So meantime, what I will do, I can try to get if we have another speaker already here. Maybe we can request them to present. Okay, let me just take a quick call with another speaker if he is there. Hold on, I'm just still communicating with another speaker if he is available. Okay, but I cannot see. Hold on, because yeah, just let me get in. Yeah, so we have another speaker already here. Maybe we can present him until the Mr. Luis Beltran is having some technical difficulties. Meantime, we can just move to another session. So we have our another exciting session, build a concise .NET chatbot with Azure OpenAI, leveraging your data and seamless integration. I think this can be one of the hottest topic right now because this OpenAI, Azure OpenAI has become a kind of most used word in tech industries. Everyone is looking for like how they can integrate OpenAI in their solutions to solve any of their business cases. So this can be a really great topic to discuss today. So Sarvanan, Mr. Sarvanan Ganesan, he will be the one presenting this session. Over to you, Mr. Sarvanan Ganesan. Are you available here? I see you are muted. Maybe you can share your screen and start if you are already there. Hello, Mr. Sarvanan. Are you there? Can you hear us? Maybe you are muted. If you make unmute, maybe you can talk. Maybe then we can move to our another session. I think earlier he was texting me that he can go next. Let me check his message. And I have another speaker, Emiliano Montesdeoca. It's quite hard for us to pronounce since we are from the Asian country. So he has already his session shared with me. He's the one who is going to deep dive into Blazor world. Blazor is one of the platform that is getting quite popular if you want to develop a complete full stack applications with .NET itself. So the advantage of Blazor is like you can stay into your .NET platform and you can get all the flexibility in your UI side using single page application here. You can build your UI using your .NET code, and also you can write your front end logic also with the .NET. It's like you are replacing JavaScript with the C Sharp. So that's the one exciting, and it is getting more popular when we want to develop a full stack solution because you can use your same knowledge base which you are using to develop your backend and the front end. So for him, he has one session with us. Let me just reshare his session. Hi, Sarvanam, you are already on the live, so I hope you can hear me, right?
Yes, Viswan, yeah, I can able to hear you.
Sorry, earlier I think there was some technical confusion, but somehow now we can see you and also your screen is visible. So let's begin with your solution, which is one of the most, buzz topic for now. Azure OpenAI, and everyone is looking how they can integrate this OpenAI into their solution. They are trying to find the use cases likewise, no? So let's start.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Rizwan, for this space, for yeah, handing over the stage to me, and I was being really happy and thankful to Cloud Experts Group and .NET Girl for giving me this opportunity to present this topic in .NET Conf in Manila of Philippines. First of all, actually, I want to tell actually that about myself that I am Saravanan Ganesan, yeah, having about 10 plus years of experience in IoT, and I also been recently working on integrating the IoT solutions with AI as well. I've been working with data consultancy services as an assistant consultant, and I am decent in. I have been awarded as Bishop on MEP as well, and I have been actually recognized by LinkedIn as well as a top voice in Internet of Things actually, and this is my LinkedIn URL actually. In case while the session goes on, actually, if you guys have many doubts or many things you want to clarify with me, you can connect me over this link in LinkedIn actually. Okay, so going on to the topic, actually, if you see, it's actually how to build a chatbot with the .NET 8 by integrating your data using the Azure OpenAI. Okay, so I hope so. Actually, nowadays, actually, people have been predominantly actually telling about sticking around you with some things like OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, what is OpenAI, like that and all. Actually, yeah, actually, it's an OpenAI is nothing but it's an organization which have found actually this LLM based models to predict take things based upon your use cases, and OpenAI and Azure OpenAI is nothing but the thing actually which have been introduced by Azure by integrating their custom based models to the OpenAI actually. So if you see this Azure OpenAI actually, if you see I've been predominantly working in Microsoft and Azure for yeah, more than down to 8 years, and recently started working for past 1 year with this LLM based models in Azure OpenAI Studio. Actually, if you see, if you want to get access to this Azure OpenAI 2 years subscription means actually it's not a awarded to each and everyone. You need to raise a request in the given form in the Azure OpenAI website actually, which is provided by the Microsoft to gain access to this Azure OpenAI Studio, where you guys can be able to uh, access these services which are related to this Azure OpenAI Studio. At the end of the call, yeah, I will be showing you that actually what kind of the form you need to fill and where you can find the form to get the access for this in Azure OpenAI. Okay, so coming back to my topic actually, which we are going to see today, like we are building a chatbot in .NET 8 based upon and how we are going to integrate this .NET 8 into this chatbot into Azure OpenAI actually, our data integrating this our own data to Azure OpenAI actually. So if you see here, what are the prerequisites? Yeah, first of all, we should see actually what are the prerequisites we require to um, do this demo, or you guys want to know actually means actually you need to require Azure OpenAI access in your Azure subscription, and then also you need to have a .NET 8 or 7 installed in your laptop, and it should also need to know about what is GPT 3.5 or GPT 4.0 models. And also if you see you need to have a Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code to develop the solution for it actually using .NET. Okay, so these are the prerequisites we have been which are required to build this model actually in this Azure Open to build this chatbot and integrate with data using the Azure OpenAI Studio in .NET 8. Okay,
Sarvanan, can you hear me?
and this is one, yeah.
Uh, Sorry to interrupt you first. Here, I can see some background noises from your side. Is it possible to check your mic? Maybe I
Yeah,
think
yeah, sure.
something setting you have to change, because I can see lots of noises, and it is impacting your sound actually. You-
Yeah, is it fine now actually?
Sound is okay. I think some background disturbance is coming.
Oh, okay. Actually, I have been in my young office. Actually, might be that is the thing because I have been in the meeting room only.
So maybe you can check your mic. There will be option like it might be not using your headset. It might be using your another in Teams. In Teams,
Okay,
there should be a setting.
okay. So I'll be checking it. Um,
So if you go and setting is device setting. Yes, if you can. Yes, this is the microphone headphone.
yeah.
I think that's fine. Then you can continue. Maybe you
Okay,
are
so
in office. That's why it might be sound.
yeah, yes, yes, yeah.
That's okay.
Okay,
Perfect. You can go
yeah.
on.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, this one. And then actually, if you see, these are the prerequisites which we require to build this demo, and these are the things you guys want to know to from which point you can start the things actually like that. Okay, so if you see actually, yeah, first of all, we need to create on Azure OpenAI in our what to tell actually in our Azure portal. So first of all, actually, please go to your Azure portal, and then actually, if you see here, if you say we have an option called Azure OpenAI actually. Okay, in this Azure OpenAI, you need to create a model actually. Okay, so that based upon your subscription and everything, actually, it will be asking you to create the in which resource group you want to create Azure OpenAI and what should be the name actually. Just simply giving .NET Conf like that. Okay, so if it's given like this and then and pricing tire like okay it will be conflict. Okay, and pricing tire always will be standard. Since I have the access to it, actually I can be able to fill those basic things. Since if you guys doesn't have any access to the subscription, for example, if I'm changing my subscription to Azure Customer, you will be getting this kind of error. Azure OpenAI services currently available to customers application form, and this is a form which I have been speaking about actually. So how to on how you need to get the access to your Azure OpenAI. If you fill this form and with the necessary details which have been asked, you can be able to actually you can get the access within a period of 2 or 3 the 2 or 3 days or a week or it based upon the status actually. Okay, so if you see here, yes, so I am changing it to my subscription build org, and then actually pricing tier standard is so, and then actually I will network should be your public network, and then tags I'm not giving any tags here, and just creating my Azure OpenAI Studio actually here. Okay, based upon the details which I have been submitted. So I'm creating it. Okay, this will be creating a after this deployment you can be able to see your Azure OpenAI the studio here actually. Okay, so once that is done actually you can be able to see the Azure AI service, and then inside that actually we can create the models which are required like GPT 3.5 or 4 like that. Actually we need to deploy the model. So once it is done it will be in progress, and from there actually you should take you can see some this is our and if you go to your Azure OpenAI Studio, so if you see here actually we have option called deployments. In the deployment we need to create a new deployment actually, create new deployment actually. If you create is that we have some options here. So I'm going with GPT 35 years actually, and then actually auto update to default, and I will give you some default deployment .NET deployment like that actually. Okay. any name you can give. It will take some time to create a deployment, and once your deployment is created, it will be displayed here like this. If you go inside and see this deployments, actually you can see all the details and the properties and how many tokens you can get. Actually it will be there per minute and rate limit and everything you can able to see it, and you can plan accordingly what kind of data you need to give it to your chatbot actually. Okay, and then what are the available models we have also we can able to see it in this place, and what are the data files we need to upload to create a custom chatbot also we can able to see it here. Okay, and so this is about the Azure Open AI Studio. Okay, and then actually if you see here, if you see here, uh, you have some key points and endpoints here actually. Okay, these keys and endpoints are really important to transfer to get the data or information from this to or to connect this Azure Open AI APIs to your code actually. So next we will see, this is the first step. We are creating a we are creating a Azure AI service workspace. In that we are going to exploring the things and deploying the deploying the models in your OpenAI Studio, and then actually we are now taking the keys and endpoints from it actually. So now I have designed a code actually, okay, which will be it's a .NET one, which will be running using our what to tell actually using .NET 8, and then actually I've been used some Gemisi based model here actually. It's a Gemisi based framework, and I created some stat controllers actually here to yeah, first of all we are going to see how we are going to create a chatbot by integrating OpenAI API actually, Azure OpenAI APIs, and then we are going to see how I can give my data into this code and by the format of PDF and getting the answers from it actually. Okay, so I also have a this custom data here. It's in the form of PDF actually. Based upon that actually it will be delivering the data in the later part of our demo. Okay, if you see here, in this environment space actually we can see they will be asking about three types of values here actually. I need to give here actually the OpenAI model which I have been used here, the .NET the name which I given for this model actually, like the models which have been deployed in my OpenAI Studio. Okay, there actually I need to give the name. Actually, the .NET deployment is a name I need to give here in this environment variable actually. They're called Azure OpenAI model. Okay, and then actually if you see for Azure OpenAI key, actually there are two types of keys available here actually in your Azure OpenAI. If you see here. Two keys actually, key one and key two, and we can give many keys there actually. And then this is the endpoint, another one which you're going to give is your endpoint here actually. Okay, once this environment setup is done, I'm going into the code actually. Okay, and I am declaring all the necessary environment variables here in this controller, chat controller. And then actually I've been actually including all the necessary libraries for Azure AI, Azure and Azure OpenAI and everything here. Actually, for the PDF, which also reads the data from the external source as well. Actually, so once this is done, I am actually creating a API actually. So this this method called actually get response actually it's created, this API method is created, it's a post method actually which is created to get the data from your OpenAI, some data from your OpenAI like as a chatbot, and I can actually mentioning here some tokens as if maximum two tokens which I can provide for this particular response to get is 400 actually. Okay, so once this is done actually, okay, what kind of output I can actually expect from this means actually I can once I run my code actually I can be able to see this just a minute, I'm expanding the thing. If you see in this, if I run the localhost code actually in the chat section, since I'm using a chat controller, it's a chat section where I can ask the capital of France I have asked actually, and it been mentioned my the deployment model has been mentioned as the capital of France is Paris actually. Okay, this is what it, and I'm asking two more questions like what is Azure OpenAI and this and yes, it was Azure Open does not exist as you understand sorry. Azure core product developed by Microsoft that offers estimate release because this data has been captured when really that GPT-3 was released and GPT and it was integrated and it's got updated after 2022 actually. Okay, and so only it was been telling the response also as GPT-4 actually, as not be released and like that and all actually. But if you check it now using GPT-4 models, you can get appropriate answers for this actually. And then actually I have been actually giving that some things like give us a total words in Shakespeare's works. It gives approximately how many words Shakespeare has been done. And then actually if you see explain Doctor Tutorial world, how we can explain a Doctor Tutorial world. So these kind of queries if I ask for a uh, general response actually we will get it from our OpenAI model. Okay, till now the chatbot which we build will display as a general response only actually, which is based upon our GPT model 3.5 we have been deployed actually. Okay, so once this is done actually, I am going to show you how we can integrate our data, our own data which we capture in that PDF format or text format or in the what to tell actually in Excel format or everything actually. So for that actually I have been creating a code actually here, write code to get the text from PDF actually. Okay, so what I am doing is I already have a PDF which I have been here actually. Okay, so based upon this PDF, this data has to be captured first in my controller and it should be converted based upon a readable form which is accepted by our Azure OpenAI. Then what I will be doing, I will be creating one more API method, get response from PDF, and then I am passing these values, the PDF text values which I'm getting from there, and then I will be sending the data to this get text method, and then they will based upon the process actually, it will be telling that you are a helpful AI. The following information is from the PDF text. What are the texts which are there in the PDF actually, they will be displaying it actually there. So this is the method which I created for the API method which I created for getting the response from the PDF, which we have in our solution here actually. So what I am doing, I am taking this in a string, and then I already have a method called get PDF, and I am also giving this PDF file part here like data slash azure.pdf, and then actually I am sending it to the chat completion options method, and then actually I'm getting the what are the messages I want to know and what are the maximum tokens I can set and all we can see as we done already in our previous method called get response from the chat GPT. Okay, so once this is done actually, okay, what will be the result will be there like the data whichever we have in our PDF be based upon that actually, because I have this data in my PDF as a detailed one, because in before example you have seen it not answered what is Azure OpenAI, and it told us Azure GPT-4 is not existent at all, but based upon my data which I given in the PDF actually, once a user gives Azure OpenAI and send means it will be telling all the data which are there in our PDF actually, and then I'm asking two more things, which models are fine tuned, and it also telling us based upon the PDF actually. I have since I've updated all the latest details in the PDF actually, it will be telling what are compare the following payment. These are the models like a GPT 3.5 Turbo, Ravage, and these are the most fine tuned specific task and use cases like that they are telling, and compare OpenAI with Azure OpenAI. This answer also it is now telling it in a more elaborated way. So this is how we need to feed our data, our own integration data to the chatbot which has an access to the Azure OpenAI. Okay, the inputs can be made up of the text file or PDF or like that, and it needs to be actually and it needs to be integrated based upon the and if it's actually if you see we have been using .NET 8 actually. Okay, using .NET 8 I have been created on MEC application, and in the MEC application I have created a one controller called chat controller. In the chat controller I have been created the methods which are necessary to create these OpenAI models, and then actually and I also define there what kind of response I want from my GPT models, and also I defined a model, the letter, which is actually feeds my PDF data, reads my PDF data, and get the latest data, the information based upon my PDF to my um, to my chatbot. So based upon whatever the information which I have put in the PDF has been in the has been read, and it's been the questions are asked accordingly in our chatbot, and it will be answering the answering based upon the latest information available in my PDF. So like this actually we can also include our IoT data or healthcare data or whatever use cases actually you guys are going to use in your projects or anywhere actually. It will be useful for you in this format. If you follow it, you can able to integrate the latest data to your predefined chatbot, which is which can be created for your personalized way as well actually, for your organization or for yourself to get some data actually. So this is about creating a concise chatbot using .NET 8 based upon Azure OpenAI, and we also seen that how to integrate this data. So and these are some of the resources I have been followed actually. If you get where we need to get to download the .NET 8, and this is a link actually there we need to know more about Azure in OpenAI as well actually. So that's it from my side. That the I am actually if you guys have any queries or anything actually you can ask now actually.
Thank you, Saravanan.
Yeah.
So far, I don't see any question. Mostly, people are actually they are excited about the topic, but they are difficult. They are having some difficulties because of background noises. So
Okay.
because you are in
Okay.
the office, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
fine. Anyway, if there will be any further question, we will post you again.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Actually,
Thank
they
you for
can.
your session. And do you have your this source code available somewhere where we can share our audience
Yeah,
lesson
yeah,
and
sure.
GitHub?
I will start the source code in the GitHub actually link which you have been started this one actually, and also this is my LinkedIn bio actually. If people have any doubts, they can also connect me via LinkedIn, and they can be able to clear or clarify the doubts. Or like, and they really happy to meet the people as well actually in this case.
Same here. I will also share your profile to our audience. If they have any queries or if they want to explore more, they can reach to you and they can uh, clear out their doubts. So with that, I think if there is no any query, maybe we can move to our another session by Mr. Luis Beltran. So
Yeah.
once again, thank you, Sarvanan,
Thank.
for your great session, and the topic was really exciting. Hope to see you soon again in some sessions. We will catch up with you
Yeah,
again.
sure, Rizwan. Yes, Rizwan. It's
Yes.
been. I am really thankful to you and Kargi actually for giving me this wonderful opportunity to de-star my session here actually, and I've been really happy we can make some more sessions on this Azure OpenAI and IoT based data in your communities as well in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rizwan.
Likewise, we are also very happy that you are here to present your sessions, give your time, and contributed in a community. So this is what we all, as a MVP, or even I have seen many other tech folks, they are spending their time. They are even their own time to contribute in the community. This is the big thing that we have, and we are driving this all the contribution. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Rizwan.
Um,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
yeah, so we have now Luis here already. I will just present him. Yes, I'll bring him to the screen. Let me just fix the screen. Yeah. So hi, Luis. Finally, you are here. I
Yes,
was
hello. Hello.
So yeah, we are in the tech world. We know there can be some technical difficulties always, and we understand this. And also we appreciate these are the some difficulties helps to make the system more robust, and we can give this feedback also to the Microsoft. So with that,
Yes, definitely.
I'll not take much time. I'll just give this floor to you. And your topic is MAUI. This is another interesting topic, and most of the tech folks, or even like the one who are in .NET platform, they want to use this MAUI for the mobile application development, especially. Even I'm also excited for this one. So even I have some queries with this because I tried this in my lab, but I had some difficulties which we can discuss in the in part of your session. So now floor is all yours.
Mhm. All right. Okay. So thank you, Rickman, for the great introduction. Just to confirm, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can see your screen. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Yes, yes, happy to discuss any issues, any steps about the next topic. So thank you everyone also for joining for to this session. So my name is Luis Beltran. I am a Microsoft MVP from Mexico, but I am living in Europe. I my contributions are mostly in developer technologies and also AI, well, and Azure. So the topic is developing Android.NET MAUI applications on Linux. And well, yeah, here you have some a link where we can talk further about these topics. All right, so let's get started because yeah, we had some issues, so we don't want to uh, have the other speakers to wait. Okay, so well, since .NET MAUI was introduced to the developer community around 2 years ago, there was a question, okay, what will be the target platforms that it will work with? Also, will we be able to develop applications only with Mac OS and also Windows? Will it be possible to use other operating systems? Well, so yeah, on GitHub, because you know .NET MAUI is open source, this was a very common question, either to target Linux or to be able to develop mobile applications using a Linux operating system. And well, back in July 2023, so a few months ago, there were some new extensions for Visual Studio Code, mainly three: the C# DevKit extension, the C# extension, and the .NET MAUI extension. Basically, this setup, this combination, allows you to create a mobile application, test it, build it using Visual Studio Code in any platform, any OS where Visual Studio Code is supported. And you know that this IDE or editor, well, that would be another topic. What is Visual Studio Code? Is it a text editor? Is it IDE? Well, maybe mix of both. You know that this one is cross-platform, so you can create or use it on Windows, Mac, and also Linux. So because of this, now it is possible to create .NET MAUI applications on Linux. And yeah, there are some steps which I will go through, and there will be also a demonstration. We also created a tutorial that you can find on Tech Community. I will share the link. But yeah, this is, let's say, one step towards the real cross-platform development and application. But just to make sure, this does not mean that you can create Linux desktop applications, unfortunately, not yet. You are able to bring your .NET MAUI projects and work on Ubuntu, work on Debian, right? To target, let's say, Android. Actually, Android is supported only for the moment. So yeah, you can write code, add new pages using Linux and test it on Android device. And well, the .NET MAUI extension for Visual Studio Code brings some features from Visual Studio, basically AI-assisted features, such as auto-completion, start suggestions, which are according to what do you, your, let's say, code or code style. You can debug on emulators, devices, and of course, edit your UI. On the other hand, there are some limitations because, yeah, I forgot to mention that this extension is in preview, which means that some features are not available yet. For example, hot reload, which is quite used for between .NET MAUI developers. So yeah, that one is still not supported, but maybe soon, right? And yeah, other characteristics that we will discuss. There are some requirements, though, in order to develop a .NET MAUI application on Linux. First one, of course, you need a Linux OS, so we will test it with Ubuntu. It is running on Windows because of the WSL, Windows over Linux, but still, it is a good test. You need to, on your own, install .NET SDK, the .NET MAUI workload, OpenJDK version 11, and the next one is optional. I mean, you must install Android SDK, SDK Manager, and emulators. But the easiest way to do it is by installing Android Studio because this one contains everything. Then, of course, Visual Studio Code and the .NET MAUI extension. Okay, first of all, which .NET MAUI version is supported or .NET version? Okay, so .NET 7 and .NET 8 are supported. Of course, .NET 9, .NET 10, and upcoming versions will be available as well later. All right, so the minimum version is .NET 7. Then you need to install the .NET MAUI workload. After that, you will install the extension, but it is important to mention that this extension requires a Visual Studio license. However, that does not mean that you have to pay, because you know, in Visual Studio, there are different licenses available: professional, enterprise, and community. And there are some, or how can I get a community version, a license for Visual Studio? Well, if you are a student, let's say freelance, or you have a startup, 5 developers, and you also earn less than $1 million US, then you can request or get a community license from Visual Studio, which allows you to use it for free, and of course for creating commercial applications and get money. Yes, so if you have a community license, then you can use for free the .NET MAUI extension. Only Android is supported. Maybe in the future it will be possible, right, to build for iOS or even Windows, maybe, who knows. Okay, so yeah, these are the supported debug targets. Only Android if you are working on Linux. We already mentioned this. You need the subscription, but you can get it for free. And okay, here are the steps. So the first one is to install .NET 8 or 7, right? Because we said that you can do it. On Linux, the first step is to actually download these scripts. it is a bit different from Windows in the sense that there is no binary. So you have to do it like manually. How can you do it? Okay, so you can use the wget command. So wget and then the URL for this script or bash script. After that, we need to make it executable. So we can change the permissions and execute it. We need to specify the channel, which is 8.0, for example, and we can add to the environment variables the location of our .NET, let's say a command or executable. And yeah, here I have some small video where I do this, right? So yeah, so here you can see the wget command. So we got the script, then we change the permissions to make it executable. Then we, of course, execute it. Actually, this link contains all the steps that I am just describing. So I will very quickly click on it and I will share it in the chat. Just give me a second. During the .NET Conf back in November, along with Bruno Capuano, we presented this. So yeah, we posted the steps there, and I'm sharing the link in the chat. Hopefully you will be able to see it. And yeah, after that, you can see that we just execute this, and it will take some time. And yeah, after that, we just need to okay, we can actually continue. Just a second. Okay, so then we need to modify a file. So just give me a second because yeah, it is a bit slow. Yeah, we need to modify a file. We need to add the two the environment variable that I mentioned. So yeah, we modify this bash rc file, and then we add these two elements, the path and the .NET root, right? And yeah, after that, we can test it by invoking .NET and, for example, info to see which version we have installed. Right. After that, the next step is to install the .NET MAUI Android workload. So .NET workload installed, MAUI-Android, very simple, and it will take some time. So yeah, this step is also very easy. We just need to wait until it completes. Next one is install OpenJDK 11. Here we need to invoke 3 commands actually. So the first one is just to define some, let's say, variable, Ubuntu release. Then we invoke wget command to download some package. And after that, we install it. We install the transport HTTPS. We also update our system, and finally we install the version 11. So we can also find these steps on Microsoft documentation. However, be careful because the documentation will always tell you to install the latest version, but for .NET MAUI we need version 11. I have not tested it with newest latest version, but 11 works. Okay. After this, we can, oh, sorry. Yeah, well, the next one is also very straightforward, which is install Android Studio. So we get it from the Ubuntu software store. So very simple step, just download it, then run the installer. Well, it will take some time to download it. And after that, we just start the installation process. So here you can see that it will download emulator, SDK build tool, platform tools. The later we also need to, of course, accept the license. And then we just wait, right? So it takes some time. And after it is installed, we need to run it. We need to execute Android Studio. Sorry, in the previous one, I still need to show something, because after it is installed, we still need to add the SDK 33 support, right? So we go to the SDK manager and we select the Android version 33 for the API, right? 13 or 33 API, which is quite simple. Some step that I just found also lately is that here in the SDK tools, even though I'm not showing it, we also might need to install the command line tools. But you will get an error later in Visual Studio Code about this element missing, but it is quite simple. Just in the SDK tool, download the command tools, and that's it. Yes. And the next step is to install Visual Studio Code, which is very simple. Again, we go to the Ubuntu software, click on install. Yeah, this doesn't take too much time. But then we go for the extension. So here in the .NET MAUI VS Code extension, we directly, this is a fresh install of .NET MAUI. So we go to the extensions, we find this one, .NET MAUI, click on install, and after that, we use the quick start. In the quick start, we will be able to activate it. Okay, so yeah, here you can see get started with .NET MAUI. So if we click there, we will see set up your .NET MAUI environment and also connect account to C# Dev Kit. So click on connect, then we will be redirected to authentication process. We enter our credentials, and after that, it will check if we have a license, because this is true for this account. You will see, we will get this message. This software is licensed to your account, so you can continue. And you are all set. Now you can create your .NET MAUI application. So we can click on this button, create .NET MAUI application. Then we select .NET new project and .NET MAUI application, right? So yeah, I can maybe show this here. So maybe now you are seeing my screen. I am connecting to remote computer. Also, you can see my phone, because we are going to test it. Okay, so just a second. It's a bit slow, this connection, but hopefully, yeah. Okay, good. So just give me a second. I'm going to copy two lines that I will need later, which are these two. Well, actually, let's make this. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project from scratch. So let's close the window. And all right, so we have Visual Studio Code. Oh, sorry. Close folder then, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so we have our tutorial. We create a .NET MAUI application. Yeah, click here. Then .NET new project. .NET MAUI application, of course. And we select some location. Let's click create it here. And the name will be .NET Conf. All right. Enter. Now, we need to open the csprog file. Yeah, don't worry about this error. We will build it later. And here we need to modify a bit the target framework. Here you can see that we have .NET 8 Android, iOS, Mac Catalyst, and others. But as I said, only Android is supported. So we can just remove the other ones. So we can stay with Android. And the next modification is to, we can add support for Windows and also iOS, let's say, in case this project is executed in other computers. So I will just paste the conditional target framework statements, which you can see, right? If we are using a Windows computer, then it will add support for a Windows target platform. And if it is not Linux, then it will add everything: Android, iOS, Mac, Catalyst. So yeah, this is just so we can build and compile our application on any OS, right? But the main one is this one, because we are just testing on Linux, okay? Good. Now I'm going to select my device, which you can see here. I already paired my device to this computer, so I can just select it, and then I should be able just to build my application. So we can click here, run and debug. It will take some time because I am using, because this is a virtual machine, right? I told you that this is an Ubuntu OS installed on, or it is running on Hyper-V. So I was not able to connect the device to the USB, but I can pair it with Wi-Fi, right? So you can just enable the Wi-Fi. I can show you on the phone. You can see on the right, developer options. I am using wireless debugging, and yeah, it is paired. It is this one. Yeah. So I have here already added it, and yeah, then it will take some time, but eventually the application will appear here, right? So in the meantime, well, if you have any questions, please let me know. I will be happy to answer them, because yeah, it will take some minutes to install our application, but you will see.
All right, here I so far I have not seen any question. I have one question.
Yeah, please.
So
please.
I tried, actually I was trying few not now, like few months back. So I was having difficulties with emulator, actually. Like I was using one virtual machine, Azure virtual machine, Window 1. But when I run the emulator there, most of the time it is taking huge time to run that emulator. So when we run from Visual Studio the solution, it takes quite long time. Then after getting some time, like I close it. But most of the time when we try again, it takes huge time. And sometimes we face difficulties when we run the simulator inside the virtual machine.
Yes, that's correct. Unfortunately, because I have also tested that scenario. Okay, so both Hyper-V and the Azure virtual machine don't support nested virtualization, because in the end the emulator is another virtual machine. So unfortunately, none of these technologies support this nested virtualization for these kind of emulators. I even tested an Azure virtual machine back some years ago when I was trying to get, let's say, working with Xamarin, because I didn't have a good computer. So I said, oh, but I can create a virtual machine. So I installed Visual Studio, everything, but I was not able to run an emulator. And yeah, it was because of this nested virtualization. And then the same thing happens here. It will take some time, as you said, even hours, but in the end you will get an error that it was not possible to run the emulator. But of course, if this would be, let's say, instead of Windows, because you can see here, this is Windows 10, and this is the Ubuntu. But if I installed Ubuntu directly on this computer, then I will be able, of course, to install emulators and so. So yeah, that is the reason.
And if we don't want to use the virtual machine, if we are using our own physical machine, is there any way to make the simulator run faster?
You can certainly install, how's it called? Some accelerator. Is hardware acceleration something. That one is available on the Android Studio. So I will very quickly, yeah, in the here. So here I have Android Studio. Yeah, on the right you can see actually the application already running. So I will go within a minute. Okay, so here we have the SDK manager, and we have the SDK tools, but there should be the it's something called HAXM. Yeah, a hardware accelerator or something, but for some reason I cannot see it here. But yeah, you can just install it.
Yes,
and then
I remember.
it will run faster.
I remember there were some hardware accelerator.
Yeah, that
tool.
one.
Yes.
That one. Yes. Yes. So yeah, then yeah, it will be faster, of course. Okay. So for example, here you can see that my application is already running, and even though I don't have access to a hot reload, so if I modify my XAML, it will not be updated. I can still debug it. So for example, I can add a breakpoint here when I click on the button, right? And you will see that, okay, first of all, I will just remove it. So you can see that the application is running. I am clicking here with the device, right? So you can see the change there, click 8 times and so. But now if I add a breakpoint, if I click, now it should stop. Yeah, you can see, yeah, it is now not updating because yeah, it takes some time. But yeah, you can see there the debugger, and of course you can add some variables, so we can see what's the value for count, and we will see value 8, right, at some point. Yeah, it takes some time. As I mentioned, it is a preview version, but yeah, it works. So and I know, right, or we can expect that Microsoft and all the .NET MAUI team will work hard, let's say, on it, because since Mac OS will no longer, let's say, or sorry, the Visual Studio for Mac will no longer be supported. I mean, the support ends in May this year. No, in August this year. It means that the developers, I mean, Mac OS developers, either use still Visual Studio for Mac but unsupported, or they transition, they go to Visual Studio Code. And of course, they will need a stable IDE or tool to create applications. So of course, hot reload is, let's say, one of the features that should be working because it speeds up the development. Yeah, okay, yeah, so you can see now count 8, and so, right, and we have the very basic tools to continue, step into, step over, and so. But yeah, so this is just, let's say, one option for developers on Linux who would also like to create Android applications. So yeah, I already explained this. Yeah, we some fixes, but those were not necessary here. I already also tested this. So here, this is just like the summary. So how to get started, install the .NET MAUI extension, of course, the other requirements like the .NET SDK, the OpenJDK, use your license from Visual Studio, create the .NET MAUI project, and of course, start coding. And yeah, some limitations which we already mentioned, right? Lightweight SAML editing capabilities. You cannot switch the framework, and hot reload not supported yet. Also, iOS, this extension has not been tested, but for Linux, it doesn't. We don't, let's say, mention it because we cannot still target iOS applications. But yeah, for Mac developers, this is important. And yeah, essentially that will be all from me. So thank you very much for your time. If again there is any question, I will be happy to try to answer them. So
Yeah, there are two questions I can see
please.
right now. There is one question from one. Can we develop production-ready application with MAUI?
Yes, certainly. You can publish your application on Google Play, on the App Store. Yes, this is definitely possible. There have been, I mean, or I have seen on social networks some developers who have published their applications into MAUI. Yes, that's definitely possible. You can using Visual Studio. Well, I will just mention it right on Windows, but also, of course, with the shell. I mean, with the terminal, there are commands to create the how's it called? Not the APK, the bundle, for example, for Android applications, and then you can I don't know, upload it to start the publishing process, or also, of course, create the file for the publication on the App Store. So definitely you can do it. Of course, there are still some issues, but we can say that as of now, .NET MAUI is more stable than how it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, yeah, there were some issues, some problems, but now it is working, or the team is working towards a stable product.
Okay, another one question is, does MAUI all the required features for mobile application like push notification, controlling devices, location, camera?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for your great question. Also the first one, of course. Yes, .NET MAUI. With .NET MAUI, you can use. They are called platform capabilities. So it has access to the geolocation APIs, storage, the status of your network, Wi-Fi or mobile. You can also access the camera, definitely. And yes, I have created, or in GitHub, I should have some project that uses push notifications with Firebase, and also directly with the Apple push notification system. I remember there were some, I think there were some NuGet packages which simplified this a bit, but you can also do it like with native code. But yeah, I can assure you that yeah, it works. Yes, it is possible.
That's great. Actually, I also will give the same answer to the attendees. Like, since the platform is already, I saw some of our like I have seen with the community, some of the team members, they were already sharing. They have already some ready application for production, and they already publish it. It is working. Yes, of course, you cannot expect everything will work perfect within one shot. We need to try because still the platform is new, and it has all the features that is mostly required. For example, yes, push notification, controlling the devices, camera, storage, Wi-Fi status, likewise. So yes, and this is one of the good platform, those who are in the .NET itself. No, so for .NET developers, this is an additional one. If we say it is, I'm not sure, Luis, you can answer better than me. It is an extended version of Xamarin, right?
Yeah, you could say is the evolution of Xamarin. On the one hand, .NET MAUI was built from scratch. Of course, it took several features, several characteristics from Xamarin. For example, in order to simplify, let's say, the approach from experienced Xamarin developers, the XAML is essentially the same controls, right? But they are, let's say, more kind of performant. Also, Xamarin, the end of support is this year, maybe in May, around May. So we should now definitely be working on .NET MAUI. If you have a Xamarin application, you might start thinking about the migration process towards .NET MAUI. Yeah, it is like the next evolution, the next phase. It might take some time to get a mature, stable, but the same happened with Xamarin. I remember there was version 2.3 for some time, but when we got Xamarin Forms 4.0, it was like the best platform because of different capabilities with top quality, and also, as I said, very mature, very stable, especially controls such as collection view. So yeah, hopefully we will reach this status soon as well.
Yes, even Satya just now, she also texted me like they have already some mobile application with MAUI already published and they are running it in production. Those they are using for ticket spare blockchain based solution. So for that they have like this mobile application using with MAUI. That's great. So yes, platform is ready. Until we all try, we will not get best out of it. So we also try. Then only we can report some issues. We can write content. We can publish our samples code. Then it will become rich soon. So apart from this, I don't see any questions. Then I think now we should move to our next session by. So anyway, it was really a good session, Luis, and it was always happy. We always feel happy to present you in our session, especially whenever you are there. So in the future also we will be presenting you more. We have found always your session, your topic, everything really good. And yes, today I'm extremely sorry because of some initial.
Don't worry. No, thank you. Thank you for your support. It was really helpful, and also I appreciate your comments. I'm always happy to collaborate. So enjoy the rest of the event, and happy to join next time.
Sure. So now I'm going to welcome our new speaker, David Patrick. He's already here. Let me just bring him. Yeah. So, hi, Mr. David. I hope you can hear me and I can see you already here. So I'm bringing you on the screen. So let me welcome David Patrick. He has huge experience in terms of especially technology area, .NET, SharePoint. He has been trainer since 2001 MCT, and he has a kind of big experience in terms of development, giving training, and he has also done training to several students. So yes, welcome here. And his topic is also really interesting considering the current trend, machine learning, ML.NET. So now floor is on all yours.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you all perfect.
Excellent. Great. Thanks for inviting me on. I'm really excited to be here. Such great sessions that I've been watching. It's just a plethora of information. So it's very, hopefully we can add to that. So this is my talk, Intro to Machine Learning with ML.NET. As you mentioned, my name is Dave Patrick. I'm a subject matter expert, a Microsoft certified trainer, MVP. I work for a company called DSA over here in the United States. I am actually got a lot of certifications. This is, I like to mention this one. This one's funny. I think Microsoft made this one up just to be funny. I'm Microsoft Certified Professional Developer, Enterprise Application Developer, and the acronym is I'm MCP dead. So that's actually an old one. I had to pass a VB6 exam to get that one. I also teach. I teach at a lot of colleges here in Maryland. University of Maryland being one of the biggest ones. I'm a subject matter expert for the U.S. Army, and I run a couple user groups. So if anyone, and you can attend from anywhere around the world, we do these hybrid user group meetings. So there's the Baltimore Cloud, which talks about cloud topics, and then there's Mad SharePoint, because sometimes we're mad at SharePoint and sometimes we're mad about SharePoint. So we like to commiserate about some of the SharePoint stuff that we do. And again, just a quick shout out if anyone's looking, if anyone's in the United States. I know this is an international conference, but we love to hire people. So my company is you can find more information about my company there at that URL. And again, I mentioned the user group stuff. So check us out up on meetup.com for more information about that. All right. Let's jump into today's agenda. I really want to go in a little bit of an overview about what machine learning is. As you mentioned, there's a lot of talk nowadays about AI. In fact, I've been doing a lot of work with Microsoft Bing Chat, which they just renamed to Copilot. I've been working with 365 Copilot and Azure AI Language, which used to be called Azure Cognitive Language. There's been a lot of renaming going on. So we're going to try to start off with just kind of an overview. What is machine learning? How does it fit? Why do we need it? We'll talk a little bit about models and training. Then we'll dive into what is ML.NET. What is this offering? It's one of many offerings that Microsoft has, and we'll do a little intro to that, a demo of that. We'll look at one of the features of that, which is called the model builder, and see some of the scenarios that applies to. So what is machine learning? There's a gentleman named Herbert Simon that I like to quote. Learning is any process which a system improves performance from experience. So this is not just machine learning, but what is learning, right? And then Tom Mitchell chimed in and he mentioned that machine learning specifically is the study of algorithms that improve their performance, we'll call that P, at some task T with experience E. And the point there is that you're now you're doing something, you're looking at the end results, and you're taking those end results and you're channeling back into that task so that you're learning. And we humans, we do that. That's very natural for us. But to teach machines to do that, it's an interesting, the traditional programming paradigm was we took data and a program, the computer would mash those two together and you would get some output, right? You might calculate payroll, or you might, build a chart in Power BI or something like that. But with machine learning, you're taking the output from the previous runs, and that's part input to the next run. So we're learning from the past mistakes or things that worked and things that didn't work. So it's an interesting, and it really has blown up over the last year or so with ChatGPT and being able to do generative language and image recognition and all these tools that are out there that really caused a lot of interest. Even though this has been around for a while, we've been working on this for a long time. Some of the things we use machine learning for, let me rephrase that. Some of the things where machine learning is good at, right? Because machine learning, you wouldn't want to use machine learning to calculate payroll. That's not a machine learning task. When would you use machine learning? Whenever we don't have the expertise, right? So like if we're trying to navigate on Mars, which we haven't been to yet, machine learning could come in handy. Or if it's difficult to explain our expertise, like speech recognition, or if you need to have a custom model, like in personalized medicine, or if there's just a lot of data. So there are definitely situations, there's different scenarios where machine learning makes sense, and it's very good at working with those issues. And then there's those ones, like I said, calculating payroll. That's overkill to use machine learning to do something like that. So it's important to understand when to use it and when not to use it. Here's a classic example of when machine learning could come in handy. Handwriting recognition, right? If you're looking at the above lines, when is it a 0? When it is a 1? When is it a 2? Is that a 2? Is that a 2? Is that a 3? Well, machine learning, surprisingly, can get very good at this and help us to solve these kind of issues. So other examples where machine learning comes in handy, these learning algorithms, facial recognition. handwriting recognition, OCR, optical character recognition, even optical mark recognition, OMR. Generation, we've seen with ChatGPT, generating language, generating images. I don't know if anyone's played with DALL-E, where you can actually give it a prompt, a text prompt, and it will generate an image based on your text prompt. Recognizing anomalies, so unusual credit card transactions. This is one of my favorites. The credit card companies have really done a great job of implementing machine learning to tell when, hey, Dave, if you're on the East Coast, it's unlikely you're in the West Coast making credit card transactions. So they can do some really interesting things to determine if someone's trying to do fraud against my credit card. And then prediction. So trying to figure out what the next thing is going to be, though I'm not sure that future stock prices or currency exchange rates has quite been, I don't know that they cracked that one just yet, but they have done some decent things in the prediction area as well. What are some of the sample applications you might use this in? Obviously in web search to improve web searching, computational biology, finance, e-commerce, space exploration, robotics, information extraction, social networks, goes on and on, whatever area, just about any area you can think of. We're doing some AI now at my work where we're looking at, we're starting small, right? One of the challenges we have at my work is we have a lot of documents related to just day-to-day, how much vacation do I get? What are the company holidays? So HR type stuff, human resources type stuff. By using AI, we're able to put all those documents, PDFs, in a repository, and then have machine learning look at that and then ask questions so that people don't have to search through all those documents. They can simply ask questions of it and we generate responses. Basically, it's a custom ChatGPT, which Microsoft would say it's a custom Copilot. So lots of different areas that you can use machine learning in. How does it work? So really, to simplify things, you build a model, right? A model is a way of solving a problem. It contains those algorithms that we talked about. You create a pipeline of where the data is coming in. You train the model and say, hey, if this was the input, then this is the output. So you usually start with you have to have the output to feed into the program, right? So we know that these measurements mean that this flower is a daisy, and these measurements mean this flower is some other flower. And then you evaluate and say, all right, well, based, how did we do? Can we do better? When you get the model trained enough where you feel like it's got decent accuracy, you save it, and then you can use that model to do additional predictions. And that's what one of the demos we're going to see. In fact, the demo we're going to do is actually looking at measurements of flower petals, and then based on previous data, we can make predictions about if you give me a new measurement, what kind of flower that might be. So how do these models work? At the very basic fundamentals of it, it's decision trees, right? So in this example, does a house have more than 2 bedrooms? If the answer is yes, we might predict a higher price. If it's no, we might predict a lower price. Of course, it's more complicated than that. So you start adding more and more parameters. Now you've got how many bedrooms does it have? How many square feet does it have? You get more and more predictions. And that's, again, fundamentally how models work. They're much more complex. There's usually a model that you use in production has millions of parameters, or lots more than just a couple of parameters. One way to take advantage of machine learning from Microsoft is using ML.NET. And this is obviously great for .NET developers because we use it in Visual Studio. We can use it offline, so we're not using Azure sources. A lot of the AI that I've been doing now takes advantage of Azure resources, and so you're doing that sort of pay-as-you-go model. But what's nice about ML.NET is you can do it offline. You can build it and just run it on your own computer. It has this thing called AutoML that allows you even more tools. We'll take a look at that to help us figure out the scenarios and help us train our data. You can do it with popular packages like TensorFlow for image recognition. And it's all from Microsoft, so it's all trusted and proven at scale, as they like to say. So let's look at a quick example. Again, built for .NET developers. You're already doing .NET. This all feels, it's C# or whatever your favorite language is. It feels to me, I'm an old database developer, so I'm used to doing, creating a database context, connecting to my database, querying my database. This feels very similar, right? You create a machine language context, step 1. Step 2, you read the data. you build your data processing and your pipeline, and then you train your model. Finally, you start making predictions from that model. And it's that simple. It's like a quick 5-step, it's like a 5-step plan to using machine learning. So what are the kind of things you can do? You can do things like look at text and figure out if it's good or bad, sentiment analysis. You can do product recommendation, price prediction, group your customers into different segments. You can look at an image and recognize objects in those images. Again, detect whether a transaction is legit or not. You can detect if sales are going up, oddly. You can group images in different classifications, and you can even forecast sales. Lots of different tutorials out there on Microsoft Learn. I'm a huge fan of Microsoft Learn, so we'll show you. In fact, this one example right here is a tutorial from Microsoft Learn where it walks you through step by step. Some of those, basically those 5 steps that we just did. Let's take a look at this particular example. So this example is going to look at flower data, measurements of petals and leaves, and then based on those measurements, we'll figure out what kind of flower it is. It uses the k-means clustering algorithm. So there's lots of different algorithms out there, but this algorithm fit this problem. And using that algorithm, we can then take that data and figure out, make predictions, pretty accurate predictions. So I'll go ahead through here and I'll walk through this particular tutorial. Again, this is right off of Microsoft Learn. It's going to build that clustering model, the grouping model, and it's got an existing iris flower data set that we're going to utilize to train our model, and then we've got some additional data points that we're going to use to test whether the model is predicting accurately. So you can see I'm going through here. I'm just kind of step through, create a simple console application, nothing fancy to get started. Of course, you could embed this in a web app or a desktop app or whatever you want, but just to keep things simple, this tutorial just uses a straight console application. So going in here to our Visual Studio, creating a new project, choosing the console app, and I'll kind of fast forward through this just a little bit. Choose our console app, give it a name. This is my flower demo. Choosing my framework, tells me to use .NET 6, so that's what I'll do. Create the project. Again, we don't have to wait for that. We'll fast forward through some of that. So once we get in the project, now we got to start writing a little bit of code, right? Actually, I'm jumping ahead. The first thing we do is say, hey, we want to use ML.NET. So we got to go out there and bring that into our project. So that's the very first step. So come in here and say, hey, let's go add a folder for our data. And now we're going to go use NuGet to say, hey, please include ML.NET in this particular project. So we'll go ahead and do that. Go find ML.NET out there. There it is. We'll go download that. Use the latest stable edition. And I think that there might be a later one out there. This demo is a few months older. So if you go do this yourself and see a later version, that would be why. So go ahead and accept the license. I never read these. I don't know if anyone ever reads these. These licenses are funny. They could actually say, hey, by the way, you promised your firstborn child to me. And I would say, okay. I should probably read those once in a while. All right, the next step is to prepare the data. And they did give us a sample data set of flower measurements and the known flower types. So that's what we're looking at here on GitHub. It's measurements of different leaves and then the actual flower that particular measurements pertain to. And again, this is the way machine learning works. We've got some existing data. We already know that these are these measurements and these and the results. And now we're going to use that to train our model. And typically when you train a model with machine learning, you usually take a data set like this and you take 80% to train the model and then 20% to test whether the training was successful or not. So you kind of hold back a little bit of the data so you can say, hey, now I can use this test to see if the model is accurate or not. If not, maybe I have to tweak the model a little bit. So went and download that, include that as part of our project. There it is. Bring that into the project, put it in that data folder. And I think in this particular demo, I never went and bothered to fix it, but I have to copy, choose it to say copy to output. That's part of the build process. I move it out of the data folder by accident. And so later when we go to do our first build, you'll see an error message, and that's why, because I accidentally drug it out of there. But the next step is to come in here and then actually build a class to store our measurements, right? We need to be able to say those 4 measurements that we saw in our data file, we need to be able to store them in a class so we can manipulate them in our program. So that's what we're doing here. So we'll just go ahead and add the class, give it a name, add those measurements. So we got sepal length, petal length, and then the prediction. And then there's even a score. So the idea is that when the machine learning predicts, hey, I think it's this kind of flower, it'll tell you how confident it is, 90%, 80%, 50%, whatever. That's what that score is. It tells us how close it thinks this, sometimes it might be confused. Give it like a 50% confidence score versus a 90% confidence score. So we'll go through, we added all that to our project. Explains a little bit about the different attributes there. Next thing you know is we have to say, okay, we're going to load our data, and we're also going to load our model. So the model is stored as a zip. When we create this model, when we train it with the data, we save it, it stays as a zip file. And then when we reuse that model, we actually just access that zip file. That's how the machine learning or ML.NET stores the model data. All right, so we set up some variables for that. We actually create, just like a database context, we should create a machine learning context. So put some code in there for that. Now we're going to go read the data. And then we're going to go and read the model and use that, set that up, train that, everything that we need to do there. So there, that call to the fit is what's actually saving the model after it's been trained as that zip file. Once it's been trained, once it's been zipped, now we can go utilize it. So we're going to go and do a prediction. We'll go create a prediction engine and then feed that prediction engine a data point and say, hey, based on these data points, what kind of flower is this? So that's what we're doing there. We're saying, hey, let's go and create a prediction engine. Let's just set up some test data. So this is, again, a real basic demo where we're just hard coding the data into our code. A better example would be reading from, you might have a list of a data file, either comma separated values or some sort of Excel spreadsheet or something. And then, you would go through rows and rows of data. But in this case, we're just for demo purposes, we literally just hard code one data point in our test class just to see how well our model is doing. So that's what we're doing here. We're creating just a test class, give it one data point, and then we'll go and predict that data point and see how well it does. So we'll go ahead and get through that. There's our test data point. We're just going to paste that right into our code. And then based on that test data point, we expect it to be Setosa. So we'll go ahead and do the prediction. So we'll say, hey, go predict this and just write out the results and see not only what the prediction is, but how well the model thought that, what is its score? What is its accuracy? So we'll go ahead and run this, and we should get, it's going to be predicted as cluster 2. And it should be fairly accurate. Now, I mentioned earlier, I moved, notice up here in my Solution Explorer, the data is in the wrong spot. That's why we're getting these errors. So it took me a sec to figure out that, it also had the wrong name. I called it flower demo, but in the tutorial said to call it iris flower clustering. So that's what you get when you don't follow directions. I should have either followed the tutorial exactly, or I should have, in this case, I'm just fixing it by using the right name. So I left these in here just because when I teach my students, I always find that when I make mistakes in front of my students, they learn better from my mistakes. So I thought, you know what, it's good to kind of, as you're following, and this happens all the time when you follow tutorials where you just kind of get off just a little bit and it doesn't work. So it's nice to be able to know how to debug them and read the error messages and react to them. This is that other error message I was talking about where it's not finding the data in the right spot. And again, that's because I kind of copied the data accidentally outside of that folder. So it took me a second to figure out what was going on with that. And then once I got that corrected, just move the data to the right spot. It would just, put it back in the folder there. Now when I run it, it should get a successful build and a successful run of the prediction. And there it is. There's that cluster 2, and you can see the different scores that it gave it, which is not it feels pretty confident that it belongs in the second cluster. So that's it. That's machine learning, ML.NET. Reading flower measurements and making predictions about flowers. Not that difficult, right? However, it gets even easier. Microsoft included something called Model Builder, which is an intuitive graphical Visual Studio extension that helps you to do that training without not without any code, but without giving you sort of a graphical user interface to help choose the different models that you might need for different scenarios. So this is what it looks like when you do a model builder application. You have different scenarios that you can train your data. You can say, hey, I'm doing data classification, or maybe I'm trying to predict values, or maybe I'm trying to look at group images, or maybe I'm trying to do a recommendation. You can see here I had a problem with my semantic classification, some weird error there. I think I had to update my Visual Studio, and then that went away. But this is again a great. There's a great tutorial on Microsoft Learn where if you want to figure out how to do something like sentiment analysis, which is given some piece of text, is it good or is it bad? Are they saying something good about my food, or are they saying the pizza is good, or I didn't like the pizza. They have a great tutorial, 10 minutes to get through this tutorial to do sentiment analysis in machine learning with ML.NET. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to jump in here. We're going to, this very similar to what we did before when we install Visual Studio, we have to say we need the ML.NET model builder. So when I first did this, I didn't have that included as part of my installation. So I went in there and said, hey, let me add that. I want the model builder tool. So I downloaded the latest version of that. Beat through this just a little bit. Yep, that's what we want. We'll go through there. And then much like we did in the previous example, we're just going to create a simple console app, but this time we're going to use the model builder to help us choose what kind of machine learning we're going to do and help us train the model. And what's nice about this particular example is you can actually see the parameters. You can say, oh, how much of my data do I want to use for training and how much do I want to use for testing the model? So we'll come through here and we'll do our console app. Give it a name, again, choosing the .NET framework. Add the machine learning. So this is important. Now we're going to add the model builder to our application. So right click in there as soon as I get in there. And I'm going to say add machine learning. There it is. That's the important part. That's the big takeaway there. So once we do that, that's going to generate all that code that supports machine learning. Just like, again, if you've done databases, this is just like adding a database context, right? Adding a data model to your code. So we add that, and then now we can go through and start renaming it, utilizing it, running it. So we'll call this the sentiment model because that's kind of machine learning we're going to do here. We'll choose our scenario, and this is where we get that little bit of graphical user interface to walk. It's like a little wizard that walks us through what are the kind of things that we want to do, right? So in here, we're going to say, well, what do we want to do? We want to fast forward this just a little bit. We're going to do data classification, and I'm going to use my local CPU. My machine's not that powerful, but it's a small data set here. If you're dealing with larger data sets, you might want to use a server, you might want to use a GPU. But for this demo, my laptop handled it pretty decently. So that's what we'll do. We'll come in here and say, hey, we're just going to use our local CPU. We're just reading some data from a file. We'll go ahead and choose the file that's got our, again, with machine learning, we got to send in some data. So we got some Yelp reviews. So the scenario for this is these are reviews, and we're trying to figure out if it's a positive review, which would be a 1, or a negative review, which would be a 0. So, obviously love this place, that's a good thing. Crust is not good, that's a bad thing. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here. So we'll take a bunch of the reviews that we already have, put them in our project, and we'll use 80% of that to train our model. And then we'll take the other 20% of the reviews to test whether the training was successful or not. And one of the nice things about using this particular tool is that the longer you train, the better it is. So you can choose, hey, let's train it for 5 minutes, or you can say, no, let's just train it for 10 seconds. And you'll see there's a difference in accuracy depending on how long you let it train on the data. So I like this one, not tasty. The texture was just nasty. So that's obviously a negative review. So as we go through here, utilizing that data, we'll just fast forward just a little bit. Go ahead. What are we just pulling through here? Yeah, that's all the Yelp reviews. I grabbed some other data sample files too, but in this particular demo, we're only going to use the Yelp reviews. We set up some, we have to specify which column are we predicting, which column contains the data that we're analyzing. And it's really just the 2 columns, right? There's the review, and then there's the whether it was good or bad. So again, we've got some existing data with where we know whether we were telling the model, wow, love this place was a good review. Crust is not good is a bad review. So it has something to work with. And then we're going to give it some additional information when we test it to see how well it's doing. So there it is. There's the file. We told it which column. We're going to select the first column. Or we're actually predicting the second column, right? The column 1 is 1 or 0. That's what we're predicting. And the first column, column 0, is the data that we're analyzing. So how long do I want to train this? Again, more time gives it more time. It gives .NET more time to look at different algorithms and figure out which models might be best for this particular data set. So I only trained it for 10 seconds, which is actually surprisingly not bad for this. I also tried it again with 3 minutes, not in this particular demo, but just to see how much better. And it does get a little better, but not so much better that I'm not sure that 3 minutes versus 10 seconds. I'm not sure I got the bang for the buck, if you will. So yeah, 10 seconds of training. It chose the best module, the LBFGS Logistic Regression OVA. And now, based on that model, I can actually try it out and say, oh, well, if I tell it crust is not good, what would you, it's 88% sure that's a bad sentiment, and it is correct. So then I'll try something else, like food was yummy. So that should be good, right? Food was yummy. Based on this model, it says it's 59% sure that's bad. So maybe I do need to train it a little bit more because it kind of got that one wrong. How about food was excellent? That one's probably a little more obvious based on some of the so 63%, it's sure that was a positive review. So you can see there, because I only trained it for 10 seconds, food was yummy kind of failed. In fact, I did in a second demo, I did it for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and food was yummy got a positive sentiment. So the more training you allow it, the better the model can be. But that's really it in a nutshell, where you're walking through and you're using the tool to choose different models and then testing the tools to see, do I need to go back and do more training, or do I need to add more data, or whatever you do, it makes it really easy. And then of course the next few steps here are actually using that in your code. And just like we did in the previous example, we can go and write some code to access the model. We can pass it some input in our code and then get the result. And that's what we're doing here. So we're saying, hey, let's go ahead and then actually use this in our code. And again, it doesn't have to be a console app. This could be a web app, a desktop app, anything at all. This is just giving you an example of how, from a very simple example. And again, I think I've got my name was wrong, so I got to go choose the right name. But once I choose the right name, you can see this running. And I actually have this. This is a recorded demo, but if you wanted to see it, let me actually flip over to my VS Code here, if I can. Here's the actual, actually running. And you can see there, crust is not good. And I think this one I did actually train for a little bit longer. So if we say crust is yummy, we might actually get a better result. Let's try this real quick. Crust is yummy. Predict and see what the result is. So yeah, you can see in this particular model, because I trained it longer, now it's got much better results. Now it says, oh, 94% sure that crust is yummy is a good thing. And that's because I trained it for a lot longer than just 10 seconds like I did in my demo. So that's that demo. There's other things you can do with this, and I'm coming up on my time, so we'll just kind of briefly introduce you to some of the other examples that are out there on .NET. This one is using TensorFlow. So TensorFlow is another model that we can use to do object recognition, and there's a great tutorial here that allows you to walk through, just like I did with the two previous demos, bringing in that particular library in your .NET program, loading it up with data. You know, in this case, it's images that it's recognizing. And the nice thing about this is, again, this is offline. So you're taking advantage of all this powerful, this deep learning where TensorFlow has already looked at so many images, and now you're just reusing that on your desktop to do image recognition, which would normally be a super powerful thing requiring all these computers. So it's been pre-trained. ML.NET just can utilize it and take advantage of it. And so this demo, if you walk through it, you'll literally give it different images, train them on those images. I think it uses, in this particular demo, it uses 12 images to say, okay, here's the training. And now if I give you an additional image, what does it look like? And this is again, the output. So we gave it, we trained it with just like 12 images, and here's 3 of them: the broccoli, the pizza, and the teddy bear. And then we added one more image, a toaster, and it said, oh, I think this is an appliance. So it did a really pretty, it was 96% sure that it was an appliance. So you can see it does a really good job of with not a whole lot of data to do predictions, and that's using TensorFlow. Tons more information on Microsoft Learn. Definitely go out there and check it out. Check out some of the tutorials. One of my favorites is this using Kaggle and Pandas and Python to do this. So there's ways to do this in other languages like Python to create machine learning models. There's all sorts of documentation. There's a whole model builder guide out there, and lots of just different samples on GitHub. So I highly encourage you, if you're interested in this, to go out there, do some of the hands-on tutorials. The best way for me, I recommend in my students to learn is by doing. Go out there, do some of the samples, try them out, make mistakes, fix your mistakes, and you'll find that it's really not that hard to get started with machine learning in .NET. That's what I have. So hopefully you got a couple of tidbits out of that. Any questions, comments? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
First of all, I'd like to appreciate your time, and the session was really good. And I think many audience liked it also, because I saw a few questions are there. And also you completely gave us the hands-on starting from start, and also to complete the model as well, also the demonstration. So I think most of the questions this were asked during the presentation you already answered, like what is the best way to start career in AI field as a software engineer?
Yeah, go out to Microsoft Learn, start getting some hands-on experience.
Yes, so that was already shared, like there are lots of resources already available in Microsoft Learn. Even there are already ready-made samples are there. So we can go and explore those samples, try it out. And best advantage of this, what I just learned from this session itself, like this is offline. So we are not going to put that cost on Azure. Like if we are doing any OpenAI services or even other machine learning, it's really expensive. Even I'm trying these days machine learning. Cost is quite high, even to do the trial or even to do the test. So that cost you can save, and you can start right away from the .NET platform itself. Even we use the community version of Visual Studio and do all the stuff. Can we create a solution? Another question is, can we create a solution mixing OpenAI and ML.NET? Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, they're tools in your toolbox. You want to get them to work together. Absolutely.
Yes, it is just about finding the use cases. If you find the use cases where you can use both OpenAI and ML.NET, that's perfectly to use with the .NET. There is no any restriction. Even I have seen like there is some samples codes for OpenAI also available for .NET. There is another question like, which is the best model for sales prediction? Do we have any sample solutions? That also, I think David already showed, like there is already some sales prediction samples available for the ML.NET. We can try that one as well.
And the
Anything
models
you
will
want?
change depending on your data. So you really have to, that last tool I showed you that helped you choose different models, depending on your data, we'll choose different models.
Yeah. Another question is, can you share the resources? Yes, okay. Obviously, these all resources are available in .NET Microsoft Learn, so we can go and explore there. All people can go and explore. It is absolutely free, and it has already step by step from starting to end. Yeah, another, how do we identify which model is best for which use cases? So
Yeah, use that auto ML tool. You can sit there and watch it. Choose different models, and then let it choose. Based on the data, it can recommend the best model.
yes. So yes, that is also one option. Like we can use auto ML, and also like depend upon the use cases. Already there are some samples models are available in the lot. Those also we can explore and get out of it which fit best for you, which use cases. That's all I can see the questions. And once again, thank you, Mr. David, for sharing your experience, your learning, and also the wonderful session. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, see you again for some upcoming sessions.
For sure.
Yeah. Now I would like to go for our next session, which will be presented by Miss Lizzie. She is already here. Let me just. So I'll bring her into screen. Good morning, Miss Lizzie. I hope it is not too early for you, or is it too early?
This is this is perfect time. It's, if you're curious, this is 3:45 a.m. for me, but we do this every year, so I'm totally good. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you once again. Anyway, this time I just realized like next year we are going to bring this into evening time of ours so that it will be at least 7, 8 or 9 your time. So we were just discussing before, like we should have start this either from like 7 or 8, so that our speakers who are in the other part of the world, like let's say which are who are on the US, or like for them at least it will be not too early, because as a like we are all contributing to the community, so we are giving our own time, our own effort, and that also I feel unhappy like we are giving some of our speakers to walk up bit early, which was even we can manage it in the evening also. So hope for upcoming sessions we will try to mitigate those, and it's always a good, and we always feel happy to present you in our community. So once again, welcome to .NET Conference Manila 2023, and today your topic is building safe AI experience with Azure AI content safety. I think this is very important topic right now. If you see currently like OpenAI or even other AI models are coming, lots of especially enterprise organization, they have some questions. Okay, if I'm using my data, is it safe to use that model to train the model, or even to use on the OpenAI? Is it safe? Sometime even if we train the model, or if we build our own OpenAI chat GPT or something, we based on our data, is it safe? Like let's say we have a different audience, there can be management, there can be manager, there can be uh, general employees also. So it is there can be some cases like all the data no need to share for the employees. There may be like a different demand of data for the management. So this safety, how we can bring, and how we can uh, you know segregate those data based on their user roles. So I think this topic will give some clarity on those thoughts. Yeah, so if you are ready, you can share your screen already.
Sure, sure. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. And if you could confirm that you can see the screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. All right, perfect. If we are good to go, thank you everyone for joining this session. You've probably enjoyed the rest of the conference as well. Hopefully you've learned a lot today. This is, I'm told, the final session of this year's conference. So hopefully you find this insightful as well. So the topic for today's session is building safe AI experiences with Azure AI content safety. A bit about myself. Rizwan said, Ligi Thomas. I'm a manager with Data and AI at Beltran Reply. We're based out of Midwest US, and a Microsoft MVP in artificial intelligence. So this is what I hope we will cover today. We'll start with a quick introduction of the topic, cover, where do we use this, the uses, the capabilities. I'll dive right into the demo, build a bit in code as well. And we'll wrap it up with some considerations and best practices that we ought to keep in mind as we use this service. And finally, summary. So the introduction. Well, AI needs no introduction. 2023 has been a prolific and a breakthrough year for generative AI specifically. As Rizwan said, there's been a lot of.
Sorry. Sorry, Miss Lizzie. You can continue. I was.
Okay, no problem. As the organizers were saying, there's been a lot of developments and proliferation in this area of technology. But one of the things, as the technology proliferates, one of the things that people using the technology, the people building the technology have been concerned about is the safety and the security of the systems, and speed and scale of the proliferation of AI has been at a pace that sometimes it's difficult to keep at par with these technologies. But Microsoft, on their side, with the release of Azure OpenAI and a lot of other responsible AI tools, have helped practitioners, developer community with these aspects. So one such offering is this tool that we're going to discuss today. It is called Azure AI Content Safety. So what Azure AI Content Safety does is it detects the harmful user-generated or AI-generated content in applications and services. Sometimes when users interact with AI systems or when AI generates responses, you want to make sure that the content that is being generated is safe and can be presented to the other side. So Azure AI Content Safety uses AI, uses artificial intelligence to moderate any piece of content and validate if this is safe. So where do we really kind of use these things, and what is the use case here? Well, if you think about it, there are a couple of use cases. For example, you could use that in e-commerce or online marketplaces. You have a lot of content on websites like product catalogs and user generated content. How do you make sure that this is actually safe? Secondly, you have, for example, gaming companies. They produce a lot of gaming artifacts. You have chat rooms inside games. You could use this technology there to ensure that we are having a safe space. Social messaging platforms, needless to say. And also we will get into this, but a little teaser. The Azure AI Content Safety is not limited to just text content. Can also be used to moderate images or text as well. So imagine using that in social media platforms for moderation. If enterprise media companies, they wanted to sort of implement a centralized moderation for their content, they could use that. Even in our schools or our solution providers, you want to make sure that the content that is being generated is not inappropriate for the consumers, for students or educators, and for that matter, any industry or vertical. So you can think about being able to use this in e-commerce sites, news websites, video sharing platforms, and so on and so forth. Any inappropriate content related to violence or hate or speech or anything can be easily moderated, and you can take action on that. So this is the use case for, so you can imagine this a lot more use cases than what is probably presented here. So what exactly does this do in terms of its capabilities? One, as we discussed, it helps with moderating text-based content. So if you give it a piece of text, it could be a single line of text, it could be a huge piece of text, like a paragraph of text. It can moderate that piece of text, and it can come back and tell you, based on the categories that you are interested in, if it meets those sensitivity filters or levels or not. So you will see in the demo that you can actually experiment with different sensitivity levels. You can configure your content filters. You can have block lists that you can manage. So a lot of things that you can do over there. So we will also look at a user-friendly interface where you can try all of this out before even going to code. Secondly, image content. So just like you do with the text content, you can use this tool for running tests on images and making sure that the images actually match your content standards. So you can again test it directly in the portal, or you can experiment with different sensitivity levels. You can configure your filters and then eventually move it into code. And there are the product is getting matured. There are more aspects of this that will come into play, like multimodal and stuff. They are only getting released as we speak. Another one that is already out there is the ability to monitor online activity. So you can even try that out in the tool itself. You can have detailed response information regarding category, severity, distribution, latency, error, so on and so forth. So we'll take a look at that. So suffice to say, you have a lot of tools to help you do this today, and you don't really have to start from scratch. Before we jump into the demo, we will see this in the tool as well, but you'd see that there are different content categories that the Azure AI Content Safety detects. And across each of these categories, it has been trained to provide sensitivity labels. So what that means is the severity levels for each of this can be between 0 to 4 and 6. Actually, it varies a little between text and image. So in text, the current version of the text model supports a full 0 to 7 severity scale. So the classifier, detects amongst all severities along the scale. If you want, you can actually trim the scale to 0 to 4 and 6. So you get sort of adjacent scales. But if you are moderating images, the current version of the image model, it supports the full 0 to 7 severity scale. So you'll see what those severity scales actually kind of mean. So without further ado, let me jump right into the demo so you get to see all of this in action and kind of place it as to how this actually behaves. What Microsoft has also done is sort of released this tool called Azure AI Content Safety Studio. So the studio is an online tool where you can log in and you can try out all of these things that we just discussed right now. So the online tool is designed to handle potentially offensive piece of content, because that's probably the only way that you can test this kind of tool. So I must give a disclaimer at this point in time for the session that we will be looking at potentially certain, inappropriate text and image content to be able to show how this can be moderated. So please bear that in mind. And I apologize for having to do this, but this is the only way that we can actually show that the content safety really works end to end. So what we are going to see again is a content safety studio, an interactive content safety studio, where you can view, explore, and try out even sample code for detecting harmful content across modalities, text, images, etc. So it will provide templates and customized workflows. You can choose between that and you sort of build your own sensitivity filters and moderation model. You can also upload your own content and try it out with sample content. Again, a fair bit of warning that we are going into the Azure AI Content Safety Studio, and there can be potentially offensive, risky, or undesirable content there. So with that, let me switch gears to the studio. Let me pull that up here. All right. So if you can see my screen, and this is demo screen here. So you'd see that we are in the studio, which is available at this URL, contentsafety.cognitive-azure.com. You could just go to the browser and search for Content Safety Studio, and it will take you here. You will land at this URL. Now I have logged in to the studio, as you can see, and before I try out several of these examples, I would want to say that we have to create a content safety resource in Azure. So if you have an Azure subscription, or you can even sign up for a free Azure subscription, the first thing that we want to do is to create a content safety resource. So I have created an instance, and that instance is required to be able to run any of these demos here, because this incurs cost, unfortunately. So you have to create a content safety resource in Azure, and that will be linked to this account, and that's how you are able to try this out. So once that is done, you can see that within this studio itself, you can run several moderation tests. So you can you can try out how to moderate text content, image content, multimodal content, which is a combination of text and images, is coming up. Right now, it is available in private preview, so you need to sign up. We'll take a look at each of this. You also have ability to test for jailbreak risk detection, and I'll explain what that is. Safety meta prompt, protected material detection. So quite a bit of features here. Some of this monitor online activity, as we just discussed, and there's also coming up soon an ability to build a custom solution, which means if you want to customize some moderation levels and you want to provide a moderation experience that just completely customized for you, that suits your needs, you'll probably be able to do that in the future. So these are the capabilities out of the box in Content Safety Studio. Now we'll take a look at each of this, and we'll also take a look at the code behind. So let's start with the text content. So here it gives you a little bit of explanation of what it is going to do. And you have sample text contents here, using which you can run a very simple test. You also have the ability to test with a large data set, which means not just one line of text or two lines of text. You have like 100 records or so, you can do that. Let's start with a very simple one. Let's start with a safe content. So I'm selecting this piece of text. And if I scroll down here, this is the piece of text that I have selected. So depending on any text that I select, that piece of text is shown in this block here. Again, once again, I'm really sorry for you had to have to see these content, but bear in mind that that's the only way we can sort of explain the capabilities of the content safety tool. So here I've sort of selected a safe piece of text, and on the right hand side, you will see that you can configure these filters. What that means is, here the severity, these are the levels we were talking about, 0, 2, 4, 6. In other words, safe, low, medium, and high. And at any point, you can set it to the default here. So these are the categories that it will analyze against. So if you, by default, these are the severity levels that it has been set at. Now let's just run the test as is, and we'll see what the result is. So the result says this content has been accepted, and all categories are accepted based on the thresholds that we set. They don't see any issue with this piece of content. If you look below, you will see that there are 4 categories that were evaluated against, and the content is set to be safe. There is no issue with that because we had set it accordingly. Now let's take another piece of content here. And this is not a safe content. So here, if I go below, this content has been rejected. And the reason is specifically, so it not just comes back and says that your content is not safe, it also says the reason behind it. So it says violence is was observed, and the violence is at a high of medium. Now, what that means is here, my threshold for violence was really low. I mean, I ascertain that I can accept it right up to low. So if I set it to, even if it's like medium level violence, I set it to accept for whatever reason. And let's try to run the test again. Now you'd see that the content is accepted. So what that means is you get to decide what your severity levels are. So if you decide that at a medium level, it has to be rejected, or at a medium level, it has to be accepted, the system will take that into consideration. So the severity levels are completely up to you. The categories have been predetermined and the levels have been predetermined, but the thresholds are up to you. So depending on the use case, you can certainly decide which way to really go. Hope that makes sense. Please feel free to add your questions in the chat here. And that way you can experiment with some others as well. We'll also say that you can try with multiple languages in one sentence, and it does that. The one that I had selected here had even spelling mistakes, typos, and it was able to do a good analysis of that. Sometimes so here in this particular example, it is just flagging one category, violence. If there are more categories that are involved, say violence and self-harm, it will flag those. So it has the capability to do so. So it's a fairly powerful tool in that aspect. Now let's take a look at another one. So this is a very simple piece of code, but when you actually kind of use this in applications, you could imagine that there are large data sets that you want to run with. So you can try to run a data set. Let me show you how to do that. Test with a large data set. So here, if you have a data set with a safe content, and if you run this, you'll see the immediate results there itself. And if you run the same, so you have 100% accepted and 0 rejected. But if you run, and here you have those levels detected per records, you will see that. And if you run that across the others that are not safe, you will see per records, what the issue is. So you have the ability to do that with small or large data sets. And you have other capabilities. We'll take a look at that. But what I did want to show you is this piece here, the view code piece. So in the studio itself, you have access to quick snippets of code that you can try out in your desired environment. You have options between Python, Java, or .NET SDK. I'm going to try .NET because ours is the .NET conference. And you'd see that in this piece of code, you have the ability to do exactly what we discussed in the studio. So you have the ability to provide a piece of content, and it will detect across the categories, the 4 categories that it has predetermined. It will set the severity levels, and it can come back. So what I've done for the sake of time is copy this, and I have an app that is already set up and good to go. Let me bring that up. So let's get that running. Now, the only thing I will say when you do that is, you have in your main, you'll have to provide two values. As I said, you'd have to create a content safety resource and in Azure, and you'd have to provide your key and your endpoint, and that's it. And you'd also have to provide the content that you want to run. So any piece of content. And when you run that, again, let me bring that up here so you are aware. There you go. It's probably going to take a little to actually read this, but you will see in here that for the content that I submitted, the text piece that I submitted, the category violence, the action is a reject. Of course, you can imagine making this, a UI driven application, and you can actually do this on most of this kind of functionalities, typically backend. It works behind the scenes, and it is used in combination with some major applications. So as I said, use cases, you could use that in your websites or in your social media platforms or gaming or any major, AI driven application. You want to use this API to sort of see if, or these SDK capabilities to sort of see if that piece of content generated by either side. I mean, it could have been generated by humans, or it could have come from the AI itself. But we want to make sure that that content is appropriate and it is safe to present to the user at the other side. So you could use this behind the scenes in combination with that. Let me go back to the studio there for a second. And as I said, you have options to also do between Python or Java, C Sharp, but the same what we just discussed for text content, you could do that for image content as well. Again, please bear in mind there is quite a bit of inappropriate content in here, and that is only because we need to be able to demonstrate the capabilities of the Content Safety Studio. So here you can do the same kind of exploration. Also bear in mind, you can bring your own content. What I probably did not show the other side around is you can actually use your own text-based content, and you can even upload your own images, set the same filters, and run the tests to see the results. And again, you have access to the code, which you can use, and you can try it out in an environment of your choice. Similarly, if I go here, and multimodal content, as I said, is a private preview. So you'd have to actually sign up for that form at this point in time to be able to try out some of its features. Jailbreak risk detection. So if I may come here and sort of talk to you about this jailbreaks, and you probably fairly familiar with this given the ChatGPT scenario. Jailbreaks refer to any situation where a user is trying to deliberately break the AI system at its core. Like it's trying to make the AI system do what it was not designed to do in the first place. For example, you have a couple of jailbreak attempts here. Now, safe content is, hi GPT, what's the rule of your system? Now, that's just asking it a fairly straightforward question, and there's no jailbreak here. What if someone did this? Like you would go to ChatGPT today or any of the other tools and say, hi ChatGPT, you're going to pretend to be DAN, which stands for do anything now. You cannot do anything. So there are, responsible AI guardrails that have been set around AI systems. But imagine a user gives this kind of an instruction to an AI system that could potentially produce really harmful results. And that is a jailbreak attempt. So it's traditionally, it's been difficult to sort of moderate and to monitor this kind of content. But now with Azure AI Content Safety, it has ability to specifically detect jailbreak attacks. So if you run the test now, let me select that and run the test there, it will say that a jailbreak attack is detected. So again, you have so many samples regarding this that you can also try out, but you get the idea. And that's kind of a huge, huge deal. Similarly with others as well, for the sake of time, I will just show you some with monitoring online activity. You can type that again. Please note you, this is not just limited to text, etc. Mine would be probably now high because of the stuff that I just explored right now, but you get the idea. All right, I think that sort of covers the Content Safety Studio. And if I can bring us back to our demo here, we will see. All right, so moving us along. As I said, there are different APIs for text detection, for image detection, for multimodality. And in addition to these APIs is what we saw here, the Azure AI Content Safety Studio itself, that you can use that to as a platform to sort of explore these capabilities before you start even writing the first piece of code. One of the questions that I want to proactively sort of manage here is if you're familiar with this area, there used to be a service called Azure Content Moderator. And one of the questions I always get asked is, hey, what's the difference between the two? Or, how is content safety, if at all, any better than the other? So I picked this piece of content from Microsoft Docs, and I thought it did a very good job in sort of explaining what those specific services are. So Azure Content Moderator has been around for a while, but what Content Moderator does it uses sort of a binary classification. So for example, if you're presenting a piece of text and asking, is there profanity in it? Is it an adult piece of content? It will come back with a binary classification like yes, no. But Azure AI Content Safety, as you just saw right now, it is not just a yes, no thing. Like it will categorize a piece of content across at least 4 categories today with different severity. So it will say if there is sexual content, there is violent content, hate or self-harm, and across each of it, it will tell what the severity level is as well. So it's a little more powerful. Again, Azure AI Content Safety provides content moderation across multiple languages. Actually, it supports a lot of languages, but it has been trained specifically in certain languages, whereas Content Moderator has support only for English. Again, Content Moderator has a built-in term list. Okay, one of the things that we probably did not explore in detail today is the block list that you can provide, which means that if you have, in addition to what is there, you have a block list of terms that you want to provide from your side to the service, you can also do that.